Back, everyone. Sorry about that. I mean, if there's one thing we can count on in the CCS, it's definitely some Mickey Mouse production. Unfortunately, this time, or actually fortunately, it wasn't our producer. It was the software itself, OBS. So send all
Yep.
complaints to them, at them, tweet them, DM them on Reddit or whatever. Tell them to make their software a lot more intuitive and compatible with our computers. But wonderful production. Thank you, Mr. Fantastic, for getting us back quickly as possible. And we didn't miss too much in the draft lull, actually, as we only just had some bans, mage bans coming out from Glaive Bingus here, with the Azir and Wukong ban from Dorado new, and Glaive Bingus giving the epic champion his Xerath here. He does like to play some bursty mages, and this will be quite an interesting pick with the Aatrox being rounded out for Glaive Bingus's draft here. And what? Okay, there's like, what is New gonna do? Ornn? Huh, I guess Ornn. He
R5
loves
Ornn
Ornn.
would be
Oh, do it,
okay.
do it, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. He
Yeah,
said he was
I
gonna play the
expect this to be
Renekton.
locked in.
He said he
Yeah,
was gonna play the Renekton.
Renekton, I mean, as people probably know, Renekton has gotten a series of incremental buffs, which have made him a relevant champion again because, of course, he's Renekton. He's omnipresent in League. He'll always be here. So Renekton finally a strong champion in the game, and I know that this is Marshall's favorite champion. I'm pretty sure overall. So into the Aatrox, definitely though a skill matchup here against Panzora. So excited to see again. Hope likely a lot of attention to the top lane. What we know about Renekton, the reason why this champion is so favored, particularly in competitive play, is because he can set up the gank so well, which is great
Mm-hmm.
for the Graves, who doesn't bring any CC of his own. So Espresso spent a lot of time coming top lane, helping Marshall out in game one, and I would expect the same here to happen in game two. One difference though. Xin Zhao, notably a lot stronger in those early level skirmishes than Amumu. So Flying Squirtle was kind of, held back in game one as far as what he could do early in those in response to those early game ganks. That will not be the case this time. Um, and you know, the mid lane we continue to kind of neglect a little bit talking about just because last game it was a huge farm fest. We're gonna get another farm fest, baby. I would expect that this one's gonna be even more boring than before. If the melee mid laner did not get ganked, you know that Victor Xerath isn't getting any ganks. So I'm gonna expect still this side lanes to have the vast majority of the action here. As I had pointed out early on, Karma and Misfortune definitely do have that poke as well, and we saw in game one too how Xernean was not afraid to step forward on this Lulu and be aggressive on this pick that typically just kind of sits back during the lane phase. So top and bot, there's going to be some action, and it's going to decide probably what happens for the rest of the game. Although it didn't really do that this last game, to be fair. I mean, Dorado got a pretty big lead at top lane, and they kind of threw it away.
Okay, when you say top lane, you mean more so like the entire top side. Because I was gonna
Yes,
say I
I
don't know
meant
if
for
Marshall really
espresso
got the lead.
mostly.
Espresso, yeah,
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
yeah.
That's
So
what
I
I
mean,
figured you were talking
espresso. No, it's
about.
true. I
Yeah,
mean, and that's a fair point. Is like I think in that last game, a lot of the blame does have to go to espresso in the jungle in this trundle because he got not only in the top lane but then in the bot lane picking up the triple kill. He was had 4 kills early on in the game and just wasn't able to translate that into any kind of snowball for Dorado. So Graves is going to look to do the same thing. In the jungle, probably even more so than the Trundle is dependent on snowballing the game and being ahead of the enemy jungler. So we'll see if Espresso can kind of translate that lead if they can make the lead happen and if they can translate it.
gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, no, and I do agree with you about pretty much everything you said. I just want to also talk about the mid lane because you did mention we didn't really talk about it much, and not because it's not interesting or whatever. It's just it's standard. We know exactly what these two mid laners want to do. Both of these mid laners do commonly play scaling mage champions. So I mean there's not much action that's gonna happen in the mid lane. They're both just gonna look to farm, scale up, and then just do damage as the game progresses here. But I am curious as to how the Xerath will play into Glaive Bingus' composition here. Xerath is a very mana hungry champion. Of course, that does get better once he has the lost chapter, but still, like with the poke and the I don't want to call it the point and click stun, but the little orb stun that he has, he have
Yeah.
to, yeah, he'll have to make sure that he does place he'll have to make sure his placement in these neutral objectives are very pristine because one wrong misclick and you step forward and Victor will probably bubble you, and then with the karma root slow, the misfortune slow, the graves there's basically a lot of CC in the side of news kit here. So I'm not saying that the epic champion is the end all be all for his team, but he needs to make sure that he's careful so that way he doesn't hamper his team in these neutral objectives and so on and so forth.
Yeah, and I mean, I think for me, the Xerath's function in this team composition is once Xerath gets some levels in, is able to get back and pick up a little bit of AP, he can just clear the wave so efficiently. Really, really good at sort of extending cleanly from the mid, through into the mid
Hmm.
game and also even into the late game, which is really where the team comp wants to be from Glaive Bingus, because of course they're going to center themselves around this Jinx and Lulu powering her up. And Jinx wants to get to at least one, if not, two items before really hitting that kind of point of power. So I think Xerath does a nice job of basically buying time for the bot lane to get to that power spike, where Glaive will want to take those team fights.
Exactly. And Elsa, before I cut it to break, I realized we didn't do this in game one, so we're gonna do it real quick. You don't have to give me an explanation, but I just want to ask you, who do you think's gonna win? We'll just do this. We'll do the game because we're game by game now. So who wins this game?
I think Glaive is going to win it again.
Okay. I also think Glaive. So for any Glaive
Ooh.
enjoyers or fans out there, we'll look to see if Bingus will take game two, or if Dorado Gaming New will even up this series. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everyone, as we are live for Game 2, Glaive Bingus against Dorado Gaming New. Glaive Bingus is on the blue side this time with Dorado New on the red side, and we will have ourselves a standard 5 champ lineup once again in the middle of the Rift here. Elsa, once again, you know what question I'm gonna ask. I'm not even gonna say it. Oh,
Oh,
hold that thought.
yeah, I don't think we're
Okay.
gonna see too much here. Not no CC from either of those champions based on what they started at level 1. But in terms of the summoner spells, I think that one thing that definitely sticks out to me, because it's kind of emblematic of these team comps as a whole, is high legacy here, taking the ghost here on Jinx. Ghost on
Mhm.
these hyper carries is something that we've seen be more and more common
Yep.
over time, just because of the ability to kite, get away. And notably, there is CC, like you mentioned, redacted from Dorado new in the form of, the Karma root, as well as the Victor gravity well. But if you have the speed, to run out of it, they're not instant CC abilities. The only instant hard CC ability on the side of Dorado new is going to be coming from Renekton, with that W, which, while it is a super impactful ability, it's only
Mhm.
single target CC. So once this Jinx and Xerath can get into situations where they're able to siege against this Dorado team comp, it is going to be really, really difficult for Dorado to find engages without kind of that hard CC that they did bring in game 1 with the Ashe as well as even the Camille.
Yeah, I, I kind of still slightly disagree. I just with you, Elsa. I guess more about the CCs that I think Dorado new have a lot. Whether it's hard CC or soft CC in terms of a slow right or some type of just thing that affects your movement speed, they definitely have it. Or even vision in term for the Graves, right? They have it in all their champs. So, I mean, yes, the Lulu and the Jinx, they do have ways to negate that crowd control there and ensure that their movement speed isn't impacted too much. But Xerath, and somewhat a little bit of the Jin Zhao do not. I mean, sure he has the ultimate, which will negate it for a little bit, but the Xerath definitely doesn't. So he'll have to be careful. The epic champion there for sure. Um, in
Yeah,
his
no, for
positioning.
sure. I mean, I think that part of it is with the Lulu, to be able to provide more survivability. They
Mhm.
will just have to be Dorado's just gonna have to be sure to really capitalize heavily when they do choose to invest their CC,
Yeah.
onto a target. They will need to make sure that they take them down quickly before the wild growth is popped, or quickly getting through it before Lulu's able to cycle through multiple uses of
Mhm.
her E ability. But Panzora there hitting a nice W on the Aatrox, forcing Marshall to dash out. And I guess, once again here, with Marshall going with the teleport, whereas Panzora choosing to go with the ignite. And once again, for Marshall, I just, he doesn't really feel like he has a choice here, but to go with
And
teleport just because
and
he needs to
to,
provide that engage for the team.
to interrupt you real quick, Elsa, I have to ask you. This is a little bit BM on my part, but I don't care. Do you think it's disrespect from Panzora?
To take ignite.
Yes.
I mean, I don't necessarily think I do think like with it's partially the nature of the champions that they pick. I mean, I think Wukong, certainly can flank teleport with the ult, but for the Aatrox, yes, Aatrox can team fight, but really does emphasize that 1v1 in particular. Whereas Renekton is flexible, right? Like, yes, Renekton can be that fighter champion, that bruiser champion in the top lane.
Espresso has shown himself here. The
Double
ghost is
dive.
pop. He will dash forward over the
What?
towers, but the
Oh,
tower shot punishes him as well. He will get the first blood. Exernian will take down the jungler of the Dog New as well in retribution. 1-for-1 for both sides. As Flying Squirtle is pathing by, and Mushai and Blobby are kind of low on mana and health respectively. The shield speed up coming out from Blobby here as Mushai will get out, but Blobby will be the takedown that is given over to the side of Glaive Bingus here. Xernian shooting up Flying Squirtle. Mushai will have to flash away. 1-for-none in favor of Glaive Bingus for the second skirmish in the bot lane.
yeah. So yeah, overall, Glaive Bingus comes out on top as far as gold, as some pretty close skirmishes here top. But Marshall is going to be happy to just back off here with the wave crashing in his favor, but Espresso back here. Not going to be able to make anything happen. I mean, the Graves running under the turret bot at first, I was really questioning it, but, you know, he does end up picking up the turret, is able to back and immediately pick up the serrated Dirk, which is big for the Graves, who does want to push the tempo of the game early for sure. So, you know, I'm not going to be too critical of that from Espresso. The fact that it turned out negative overall for Dorado new is more so on the fault of Muchai and Blobby just for staying a little bit too long there without vision. Not really any reason that they needed to do that with the wave already pushed in. And Zora, level 6.
And Zora is level 6 now. World Ender is online. Dog Marshall about halfway through his health bar. And Dominus not online just yet for him. So he will have to be aware of where he is in that lane and ensure Panzora does not get too aggressive into and, you know, turn him into a leather purse essentially. But Flying Squirtle will take down the first Drake here, the Inferno Drake for the side of Glaive Bingus here, no contest, and was able to just take that solo as his bot lane did have tempo and the push in their lane respectively. So Dog knew unable to contest. We see Espresso waiting. Oh, hold that thought. We'll have to disregard that thought. Panzora using the Ignite Dominus. Pop from Marshall here. This 1v1 combat. Marshall. Oh, Panzora playing that on the knife's edge, or a sword's edge, as you could say, as his champion does wield one. I thought Marshall was going to take that due to the health influx he got there from his rage bar, but I was wrong. That 1v1 matchup is so close, Elsa.
Could you say perhaps it was on an Ignite's edge? I think that, I mean, seriously though, that absolutely made the difference. First of all, because of the healing reduction for the Renekton is really, really big from the Q. Doesn't come through with as much healing. And also obviously the extra damage, because that was very, very close there. But Panzora in the end using, you know, really, really using the Q beautifully and kind of dancing around the edges of that, hitting multiple sweet spots throughout that. And look at how the wave now ends up being stacked for him as well. Gonna pick up a huge amount of XP already, a level over Marshall at this time, and it's only going to be a growing XP lead for Panzora, who looks like he's in an even better position this game to dominate the side lane, and Marshall maybe a little bit frustrated there flashing forward to force that engage.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, Elsa, you make a great point. This time Panzora will be quite a threat in the side lane, will be able to side lane a lot more effectively and aggressively, and just, you know, get deeper into the side lane without having to worry about needing assistance from his team, as that Aatrox, as we all know, can be quite the threat and terror if he gets ahead too soon.
Yeah, and I mean, in this, the difference between... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, there was no thought.
Well, now for sure.
But there is. Flying Squirtles finding the engage on Mushai here. He will get the W, the vision. Flying Crescent Guard comes out as well to deny the tower shot. Xernean will be rooted. Mushai here as the W comes out once again, and Mushai literally on the 16th of her health bar will be able to get out. Rocket, however, will not allow her to do so. High Legacy getting the takedown. Espresso and Marshall now looking to put pressure on Panzora here in this top lane once again, but Panzora has played that cool, calm, and collected.
Yeah, and that's pretty big for the Jinx, who was a little bit behind as the Epic Champion. I think will be able to walk this one out, but was, you know, like at probably about even with Muchai up to that point, but now not only picking up that kill, also delays Muchai from getting back to the turret. So they will pick up another turret plate as well. I believe Xernean left the entire thing to go over to High Legacy. So now sitting with about a 600 gold lead, recalling back, and so that will accelerate the Jinx a little bit, getting to that first item point when she can first start to, you know, actually make a little bit of a difference. So good to see there. Mid lane though, Rift Herald being dropped.
Yeah, Shelly being dropped here for Dog New. They will get some turrets down, or I'm sorry, plates, but they will not be able to take down the turret. Plates are still up for the time being as we see the Hextech Drake spawning in about 50 seconds here. Currently, Dog New do have tempo and the push in the bot lane as we see Mushai claiming some more minions there. And of course, as you pointed out earlier, Elsa does have the gold advantage over their counterpart here. My question for you though is currently, well, it's pretty chill in the mid lane. So, whoa, but look at the mid lane CS, however, as King What's His Face about 11 CS over the Epic Champion here. I do want to see this Victor be a lot more effective, or not a lot more effective, I'm sorry, but I do want to see King What's His Face have a lot more agency and be more effective in this game. Not to say that he wasn't in the previous game. He did do pretty well in the Azir, but this Victor, we all know, is going to be a late game terror. It will even start to be a terror from this point forward, but he may not have the chance as he will flash away. What looked like a miss flash? I'm not too sure.
Yeah,
but
I'm not sure.
not punished though, luckily.
Yeah, and I mean, it is a big cooldown though for Victor, who is fairly vulnerable. But the dragon is still gonna be, it looks like, going over to Dorado. I don't know if we'll ever pan over to it.
Oh, okay, yeah, they will get the Drake boost. The bullet time comes out. Crescent Guard from Flying Squirtle to ensure he is not taken out. King What's His Face will take down the Glaive Bingus jungler, but he goes down as well. Epic Champion flashing forward with the shocking orb, the stun on Mushai. High Legacy gets the kill. Or Epic Champion will, however, instead. That is a 1 for 2 in favor of Glaive Bingus.
And up here in the top lane,
Partial flash forward. He will get the solo kill on Panzora.
he's gonna drop the laugh at the end as well. A little bit of disrespect to Espresso. The action doesn't stop.
Action does not stop. Espresso is here looking for more. Xernean shooting up her support as High Legacy will be on the retreat. Espresso as well. Nothing comes out of this bot lane skirmish.
Yeah, nothing more gonna come out as far as kills. High Legacy will be without Summoner spells now after that fight for the Jinx, but, you know, still coming out unscathed, no more deaths coming through from either of the main damage champions here on the bottom side in this Xerath and the Jinx. And Epic Champion, Redact, you were a little bit concerned about his ability to stay safe in this game on this Xerath pick, and has done a really nice job of doing so far. No deaths.
Yeah, currently 1-0-1, and
Currently,
you know,
to be fair.
yeah, absolutely currently. But the biggest concern actually for me now at this rate is actually High Legacy on that Jinx. 2-1-2, 150 gold bounty, 84 CS.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, they are behind Mushai in terms of CS, but the gold and the kills do make up for it big time. As currently the gold, once again, Elsa, is even between these teams, but we know that at some point there's going to be a team fight or even a pick or something that will swing the tempo advantage in favor of one of these teams, that and they might just snowball the entire game from there. So we'll have to see if that happens this game, or if we're gonna have a bit more of a standard seesaw type game.
Yeah, and the long range artillery damage gets so scary here from Glaive Bingus, because not only do you have Xerath with his basic abilities, with his ultimate poking you out, but then you always have the possibility of High Legacy executing one or more members of your team with the Jinx rocket coming all the way across the map. So much ability to die without any other characters on your screen can definitely be a frustrating thing to play against if you're Dorado. And the top lane's definitely existed in a little bit more of an island, I would say, this game than the previous one. But it's one that I feel like is looking better for Marshall than it was last game. Able to pick up that solo that we saw.
Actually, look how many people are here. Okay, they will be going for Shirley though, as Blobby, King What's His Face, and Espresso will look to take this rift here as Panzora and Marshall are in Mortal Kombat in the top lane, and we're having some more action in the river as Flying Squirtle, Crescent Guard activated, will flash forward looking to take down the support of Dog knew he will be able to, but Flying Squirtle will be taken down as well. 1-for-1. Panzora has found the flank angle. Shirley will go down. Espresso does claim it. Panzora have to pop the roll ender and dash over the wall. Oh my god, look at those health bars though. Epic champion and gets the double kill. Will clean up Espresso and King. What's his face here? Glaive Bingus playing that so precariously, but they do come out on top.
Those champions were low. How low? Died to a Zeroth auto attack low. That's real low right there. And you can see here again, the amount of the damage is really deceiving when we look at this replay from Glaive Bingus, because the Jinx Rocket coming through doing a little bit of chip damage to begin with. And then
we have a replay.
Yeah, that's what I'm. And then we have the Zeroth just over time continuing to dish out this damage. So even though like on the front line it looks like Dorado is winning the fight, there is so much damage coming from the Epic Champion, who's not even on the screen of the observer while it's happening. So really nice job. You know, you said Redacted coming into it has a lot of mastery on this particular champion, and that doesn't surprise me whatsoever looking at the performance so far in this game. 4-0-1, still yet to die in this mid lane mage.
Yeah. 4-0-1, 400 gold bounty on that Epic Champion here. Espresso was looking to potentially just dash or blast plant his way over into the river. There is a lot of posturing as this Ocean Drake has spawned now, and we will see both teams look to contest for agency in the river here for this Ocean Drake. Glaive Bingus currently have the advantage. I believe they have started the Drake. Yep, they have started the Drake. And Dorado New have just decided to forfeit this Drake. They do not want to fight yet. I mean, can you blame them when you have a Jinx and Zeroth that are pretty strong currently? Yep, Marshall did have TP as well as the Victor, but they instead want to look for this mid lane turret. Espresso will probably now give over his life for this. I don't. How greed is greedy? Was that worth to you, Elsa?
I mean, you know, I think it probably is, just given the fact that there are no objectives coming back up onto the map. The mid lane turret does provide a pretty huge amount of map control as far as your ability to push into the enemy jungle and get vision. So, you know, I'm going to say for now, benefit of the doubt, it was worth, but it depends on if...
Oh, Flying Squirtle pulling off his Beth Espresso impression right now.
Yeah, except he didn't actually pick up any objective as a result of it. So, you know, asking the question, is it worth? I mean, nothing picked up in response for Glaive Bingus, and on top of that, actually another member ends up going down. So not exactly what you want to see. It is still a 300 gold lead, but those kind of mistakes, those are the kind of things that will allow Dorado to stay in this game. And, you know, just one game can definitely change the course of the series. But we are going to have a little bit of a pause here after some bathrooming needs of the players.
Yeah, we do currently have a pause. I'm trying to figure out what the issue might be.
I think it looks like, it looks like, I think someone's going to the bathroom.
Oh,
Yeah,
gotcha.
That is my guess. So we'll have a little bit of pause time here to think about
No, not for long. As we're actually back.
Yeah, true. Okay, well, never mind.
But
that's good. I didn't have anything to say anyway, so that's fine.
Well, sucks for you because I'm still gonna ask you a question anyway. So, you know, let's play with my new favorite word, tempo, that I've learned recently. Who do you think has the tempo currently in this game? And what can the other side do to try and reclaim it?
I mean, I do think that this is the transitionary point in the game where the tempo, kind of similar to last game, goes over to Glaive now that they can clear these waves. But Dorado, they're trying to make plays. This is what they need to do to push the tempo. Is the Rift Herald being dropped here, a dive coming through?
The guy coming through, Panzora with the 3-man gank and they just bonk him on the head. That top laner for Glaive Bingus going down. Shirley as well will be escorted to this tier 2 turret. Dorado Gaming New are playing this. I'm sorry?
They might be able to pick up this turret.
Oh, yeah, correct. It looks like they will be able to pick up this tier 2 turret here. But in High Legacy, they had something to say about it, but they were not able to protect it. And Dog New are on the retreat, flying Squirtle. Finally engage onto King What's-His-Face there. Right of the Arcane connects once. But the victor will be able to slink his way out. And Dog New playing this so much better than game 1. And, you know, currently about a 2k gold lead in their favor.
And the problem that I brought up for Dorado with the dealing with the siege ability that coming through from the Jinx and the Xerath, they're showing exactly the right way to counter this, which is you need to make really definitive plays, especially on the side lanes of the map, and you force the Xerath and the Jinx to come to you, because those are the situations, they really struggle to, particularly the Xerath, struggles to safely rotate around the map. So he basically has to choose between dying or not going to help the team. And while the Epic Champion has still managed not to go to the Death Chamber, wasn't able to contribute nearly as much in that last exchange, and all of a sudden it is Dorado with the gold lead. And we talked about those little mistakes, those single skirmishes can really change the course of the game. And Espresso continuing to push the pace here down in the bot lane is prompting another dive. I have a feeling this Xerath is going to die for the first time.
Oh, yeah. Epic Champion, it will be about to go down. Bullet time goes wide, but the gravity field does not. And the shutdown is given over to King What's-His-Face. Dog New. Oh, boy, man. They are here to play.
Yeah, and I mean... Oh, Marshall is going to dash away. And I mean, we have raised our eyebrows at Espresso throughout this game, running under the turret to, secure these objectives. And when you look at his score, nothing out of the ordinary, 145 CS, just three behind his opponent, and then 2, 3, and 3. But if you flip to the gold, you can see that he's 1,500 gold up on this Grave. So really has managed to create an advantage for himself as well as the team in map control and items on this Graves and pumping out damage to go along with that, continually diving top lane and then bot lane as well. So cool to see these rotations around the map, because they have been very effective.
Yeah, absolutely. They have been a roaming hit squad, this Dog New team, finding these picks across the rift, and that's exactly what you want to see in this mid game here, where there are no neutral objectives to be vigorously contested. As now, however, we will have ourselves a fight as Epic Champion was looking to poke out Espresso there before they started this Rift Drake or Ocean Drake here, and he will be able to. Epic Champion about a fourth of his health bar left. Does Dog New still want to contest, but the bullet time connects. Panzor will whack Mooshai on top of the head to interrupt the bullet time there. Wild Growth comes out as well. Flying Squirtle, pretty healthy. Dog New, they are debating if they want to contest this Drake, but I don't think they have a choice. They have burned one important ultimate currently with the bullet time still on cooldown here, but Glaive Bingus have not found their end just yet. Dog Marshall will find the stun on 2. Polymorph, he's in the middle on the back line. Flying Squirtle goes down. Dark Marshall is now trying to take out Xernean in a High Legacy. He is on top of this Jinx. Oh! Postured the backline away from the Ocean Drake, with High Legacy and Xernean are solo. Panzora as well. The stun connects. Epic Champion is still alive. He will take out the support of Dog New here. What a precarious team fight for the side of Glaive Bingus when they were able to live just by the hair of their chinny chin chins, but no one gets the Ocean Drake. We're gonna reset here for round 2 of this neutral objective, more than likely.
And Marshall getting into the back line as we start this replay up. We can see right away getting the stun off, and then also getting the beautiful dash over to the wall to get onto High Legacy, who ultimately does survive, but does burn the flash, so will not have it again now. Lots and lots of ultimates down on both sides, so limited resources and limited health bars.
Limited health bars as the gravity field, gravity well connects on the epic champion there. King what's his face, the audacious charge from Flying Squirtle, bullet time, crescent guard to disrespect. Flying Squirtle playing that so well with the knockup from Expresso here. Panzora will thwack the Graves, the granular for Dorado new is down. Where is the rest of Glaive Bingus though? They are on the other side of the neutral objective. We have a TB coming out from the Xerath here, and they will now look to do work on this Ocean Drake. The poke from Xerath is so much. Mushai will have to back up. New, I don't think you can contest for this, but you want to give up without a fight. Martial Dominance has popped. Mushai has been polymorphed. Mushai is down, but Mushai takes out High Legacy as well. Dog Marshall is in the middle, and he is fighting the rest of Glaive Bingus as hard as he can. But the Croc cannot get it done. Panzora can, however, and Glaive Bingus will get this Ocean Drake. They are now on Soul Point.
And at the end of the day, it just feels like even though High Legacy ends up getting dropped by Muchai, there's still so much threat left with Panzora still alive on the Aatrox. Yes, he has started, started to pale a little bit in comparison to the Renekton in these team fights, but it does a huge amount of damage and also actually, has a huge amount of control of space with the Q, as we do see Panzora hitting the knockups over and over again in that replay of the team fight. So
what Squirtle did with the interrupt on that bullet time, that was clean.
Yeah, that was really, really huge because, while the bullet time is just one cooldown, it really is the vast majority of what MF is going to bring to the table at this point. In the team fights, I guess, in general, at any point in the game. So that is a little bit of a bummer there. But it is still 1.5k gold lead, a little bit less, a little over 1k. Gold lead for Dorado, but at the same time, I don't think that. Well, I think part of it's turrets. They have two additional turrets, but
yeah,
it pretty much is even. Is my point, I guess. Like the gold it's not really relevant.
That may be as Flying Squirtle found the engage on Expresso. The Wild Growth was popped. Though Zap bullet time as well. The slow they are trying to root and take out this jungler of Glaive Bingus, and both junglers, however, will be taken down. So jungle for jungle. What will both of our teams look to do next here? You got it. It's an ARAM.
Yeah, they're not going to go for the objectives with both smites being unavailable here. So just Epic Champion trying to get a little bit of poke out. But at this point, the Karma has done a really good job from Blobby of negating a lot of what the Epic Champion can bring, as the poke hasn't necessarily been as impactful in these fights as you would want it to be for Glaive, because theoretically, when you pick the Xerath, you really don't ever want to be going into any fights with the same amount of health as your opponents. You always want to be using the Xerath to chip them down and go in at that advantage, and get that first reset, get excited for High Legacy so that the Jinx can reset through the rest of the fight. So looking at Epic Champion, we were praising early in the game, the survivability, yada, 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 but really wanting to set up maybe is more of it, have a little bit more time before these fights to lay down that poke, and we'll be done with the death cap presumably pretty soon here. Looking at their gold, yeah, about 500 more gold till death cap.
Yeah, death cap on the way for the Epic Champion here, and once he hits that item, it's gonna really suck for basically everyone on Dog New here.
Very little magic resist, no magic resist, basically.
Exactly. He gets one round of spells out on Mushai or basically anyone, and they're either seeing the gray screen or they're gonna have to go back to their base here. So they're gonna have to be very mindful of their positioning or look to get a pick as quickly as possible here, which is what my next point I wanted to lead into, Elsa. We haven't really seen Expresso be effective as possible as he was in this early game here. I wonder if Dog needs to continue looking for picks across the map, or if maybe I don't know, what can Dog New do here to try and regain some control? Because yeah, the gold is 200 in their favor, but it doesn't feel like they have the tempo or control of this game right now.
Yeah, and it does not. And now with the Baron up, the problem for Dorado is that it's soul point for Glaive. So the cards are kind of in their hands. Normally, I would say that once both objectives are up, you can kind of try to play some games with the enemy team and try to gain some advantages off of vision in those situations. But the problem is that Dragon is will be worth very little for Dorado, and it will be worth a lot um, for Glaive. And so that means that Dorado pretty much has to play reactive in this situation. They can't hard commit onto one objective or the other because it means that they will, lose the more valuable objective in either scenario. So we'll just have to see. I think they're going to maintain vision is pretty much what they're going to do now. Marshall does have teleport, so he's going to split into the side lane, but it's not like he's able to create any pressure. He's just clearing out the Krugs.
Yeah, and you see there the epic champion there using that right of the arcane. Yep, has the death cap correct. The hat is online. I'm using that right of the arcane to try to poke out some of the new members here prior to this Ocean Drake spawning. The poke does not connect though, but once again, we are in a choke point situation. Dog knew they need to either look to fight soon or get poked out by this Zerath here, as Glaive Bingus will not delay on this Drake. Panzora has found the chunk. Oh my goodness, Marshall.
Here comes Marshall.
Bullet time to corral Glaive Bingus into a choke point, but Marshall is just blown up as Espresso and the rest of Dog New are looking for anything on the Rift, and they're not finding nothing. High Legacy is on a rampage. Look at the Jinx double kill, triple kill for High Legacy. That will be the Baron for Glaive Bingus here, as we see the question mark pings coming out, and ace for Glaive Bingus.
And that is going to be pretty much everything but the very end of the game here from Glaive Bingus, who are going to get a huge snowball of gold. Panzora just going to remain in the mid lane to get this inner turret taken down, while the rest of the team, all 5 of them alive after acing the enemy. And looking at this replay here, I mean, at the beginning, after Marshall goes down, getting the flank off, it's pretty much all she wrote. And it's a really good flank from the Renekton. He's in the right position, but really there's just nothing that Marshall can do differently in this situation, because of the fact that the Lulu is just going to polymorph you, and it's just a really nice job from Glaive to kite back around this Renekton. Understand that if they're not able to pull off that initial flank and get that pick off, like we talked about at the beginning, Redacted, so critical to get those to lay down that CC and focus these targets down. If they're not able to do that at the beginning of the fight, it's just going to be worse from there.
Absolutely. And what looked like, their draft initially was like, okay, it doesn't look bad, but they all had some type of CC right in their comp. But what I'm starting to realize is that they had no hard engage, no one that could truly get into the middle of these Glaive Bingus champions, have enough resistances to live long enough, because Marshall is doing that, but he's just not living long enough to disrupt Glaive Bingus and allow the rest of Dorado New to try and clean up and damage these Glaive Bingus champions here. So it's just quite tough for, oh my god. Bullet time from Mushai there, goes wide.
Yep, there we go.
Oh boy, there's nothing I can even say. Is High Legacy's already on a double kill. Panzora is diving New under a tier 1 turret. We have a 5-man bonanza in the top lane. High Legacy on a triple kill, 10, 2, and 5 on this Jinx. And I think I'm pretty confident I can call this game for the side of Glaive Bingus here. Whether they get it now or they get it in the next 5 to 10 minutes, it's looking like this will be a Glaive Bingus 2-0 lead over Dorado Gaming though.
And if only you had a co-caster to, tell you why there wasn't enough, hard CC engage on the Dorado team, then you'd be able to realize it. No, just kidding. But really definitive team fighting there from the whole team, really, from Glaive Bingus, as we see that first reset coming through from the Jinx, able to get the kill with the rocket after the poke from Epic Champion, just like we talked about. And that's just it's nice to see teams playing their team comps out the way that they're meant to function there. And even
Hmm.
though it took a little bit of time to fall into a groove there from Glaive Bingus, once they got there, they really were looking strong. And it is Dorado looking a little bit frustrated, I feel like, by the end of this game, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Whether it's frustrated or just miscommunication, it's really tough for Dog Noon now at this point. They are now down 0-2, so their per bracket lives at least are on the line here. Luckily for them, if they do lose this series, they will go to the lower bracket, so their playoff hopes are still alive. But you really want to try and win, obviously, in the upper bracket because less games, and you keep your lifeline in the playoffs here alive that much longer here. But for the side of Glaive Bingus, honestly, they're looking exactly how I thought, and I feel like a good portion of the community also thought they would be. They look like the better team we all thought coming in. Their drafts have been really succinct and just well organized. And at this point now, I don't even know who is there something new should try and focus on? Do you think there's an issue of like maybe we need to try and ban out Panzora more? Or do we try and get Exernian on something else because Lulu is kind of annoying with the polymorphs and shields? Like, what do you think here, Elsa?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the jungle pick was a little bit off for me, and it's not that Espresso did not play the Graves well, because I think that he did, as we kind of reflected on, generated a good amount of tempo, getting those advantage with the dives, taking the turrets early on, as well as the Rift Herald. But then once we got into the team fights, it just seemed like there's this Graves and MF sitting in the back line, and sure, the Karma is able to shield them, but they're just going to end up getting run over by the likes of this Aatrox and this Jin Zhao over and over and over again. So I think that you need to, if you're going to have Muchai on something with more damage, like I suggested, and I thought went okay with the MF, in the lane phase at the very least, you need to pair it with something that's going to allow the MF to actually set up and have the zone control in the fights to even ult, because I feel like Muchai just didn't even have a chance to lay down the bullet time, or when she did, would just get insta interrupted again and again.
Absolutely, absolutely. But we will find out here shortly if Dorado New can pull off well, I won't call a miracle sweep just yet, or reverse sweep, not miracle sweep, a reverse sweep just yet, because they need to just win one game currently to keep their playoff hopes alive. So we'll see if they can pull that off after the short break. Don't go anywhere. You don't want to miss game 3. We'll be right back.
know these streets like we do. 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 Know these streets like we do. Like we do. You know these streets like we do. Like we do. Know these streets like we do. Like we do. You know these streets like we do. Like we do. Know these streets like we do. Like we do. You know these streets like we do. Like we do. Know these streets like we do. Like we do. You know these streets like we do.
Welcome back, everyone, as we are here live in Game Three's draft. Glaive Bingus against Dorado Gaming New, and Glaive Bingus on the blue side, as Dorado Gaming New have elected to be on the red side once again. Elsa, what do you think about this? Do you think they're gonna look for a stronger counter pick this time? Do you think they're gonna change their bans? Do you think they're gonna target ban? Thoughts?
Well, redacted, here I am in college again and wearing the CCS merchandise, which is is gonna drop pretty soon, so I'm pretty cool. And that is the main thing that I wanted to advertise, as our owner is flaming his own staff in the chat. But anyways, this is definitely me. And anyway, I don't know what else to say, I guess. Basically, I'm really good at lip syncing, and yeah, Twitch chat, that's for us to know and you to find out. Nothing is going on. We're just
Who am
showcasing
I?
this possibly dropped in the future CCS merch. That's all.
Exactly. Just
But
giving
yeah,
y'all a
I don't know.
little.
What is this again? League of Legends or something? Oh wait,
This
am
is,
I? I'm back. Wait. Oh wait. I mean, I was never. What do I mean? I was never changed. I took off
you
my sweater. That's it.
Exactly. You just took off your invasion of the body catchers suit there, shapeshifters. But anyway, back to the real draft. B1, the real draft. The real reason we're all here. B1 pick for Glaive Bingus with the Lulu once again for Exernian. But this time, Dorado Gaming knew will get the Seraphine. I feel like this is a Mushai Seraphine pick. I could be wrong though. Was Seraphine banned? It was banned in game one, not in game two. So yeah, Seraphine a tear throughout the meta currently
Mhm.
for quite a while now, and yeah, we'll see where this pick is going. Well, obviously it's not obviously. More than likely going on Mushai now because we have the Azir pick. So please disregard my previous statements. And now I concede my time to Elsa.
And you're good. I mean, you had to listen through me at the beginning of this, and which was definitely worth missing the entire band phase for sure. No, but as you were, you pointed out the Seraphine pick, kind of the biggest change coming through here so far for Dorado, and I do really like this because we talked about switching up the jungle pick to facilitate the AD carry. You can also do the opposite as well, and it actually works a little bit better, I think, in this meta with Seraphine being such a strong champion. And having that ability to facilitate something like a Graves or another aggressive jungler, whoever they do decide to pick up here from Espresso. But it is going to be some repeats here. Mordekaiser was played obviously in the first game. Lulu, we've seen all three games from Exernian, we saw throughout the first two games was really, really good. Jinx looked good in the last one as well. So really staying on this same theme from Glaive, following really the meta internationally right now, which is to put all of your or put a lot of your eggs in the very least in one of these hyper carry champions. And High Legacy has shown to be worthwhile of that resource distribution in the first two games.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as we are getting into our second rounds of bans here, we will see the Wukong banned out for Dorado New. No Wukong for Panzora or Squirtle this time around. And that makes me curious as to what Glaive Bingus will ban next here as the 80 carry ban. Well, the triple flex Seraphine, because God knows where she's going. It could be mid 80 support or yeah. Anyway, we don't know where Seraphine's going just yet. I don't want to call it, even though we do know it'll probably be in the hands of Mushai, but it could go to Blobby. But we'll just have to wait and see. As the Senna has now been banned here by the side of Glaive Bingus against New. So I think they also believe that Mushai will be piloting that Seraphine. So they want to ensure that those combo pairings that she has are not going to be given. Senna being a great pick to take off the board. As New will hover the Trundle here, and I'm sure they'll lock that in. It is confirmed. So now Glaive Bingus have the last ban here. Will they target another support here against New, or will they target the top lane, or even I guess what are the
Yeah, I mean it's a little bit confusing right now just because of the
because of the
flexibility of
flexes,
the
yeah.
Olaf. Yeah, I mean I think it's pretty surefire that Seraphine's going to go into the bot lane role, but I don't know that there's anything else super worthwhile as far as bans go for the support role. And then as far as this Olaf pick, I do really like it not only because of the flexibility that it provides, but also on top of that, the fact that it could potentially be a really strong jungle pick to be able to have that aggression. I like it as an adjustment as opposed to the Graves, just because it can actually run through onto that Jinx, regardless of the Chompers, regardless of the Polymorph from the Lulu, when the
Mhm.
Olaf has the Ragnarok activated.
Absolutely, as Amumu was locked in for the side of Dorado New here, and Diana Hover.
Interesting.
Diana locked in actually for the side of Glaive Bingus here. So they said, all right, you want to
Yasuo?
front to back. We are going to go ahead and gather you all up into one big circle and then let our Jinx and Lulu go to work. But yeah, Yasuo would not be a bad pick here for the side of Glaive Bingus. And we can probably expect, if there is a Yasuo pick to go into the hands of Panzora there, I mean, Mordekaiser is a thing. Ooh, Kled? No freaking way. And it will be the Kled
Yeah.
locked in, the Crantarius Yordle. This is definitely a Panzora pick here.
I'm actually wondering because I feel like on face at the very least there is some flexibility here between the Kled and the Mordekaiser, just because Kled in particular definitely does have some weak matchups. And remember that this could potentially just be a blind pick here. I would presume that it actually is, with the Amumu likely going into the support role. So yep, it is going to be set. Is going to be the choice here from Marshall. So I do believe that that's something that probably would match into either one of them. But right now, I did want to take a look at the OP Jot GGs here, because I don't think we've seen any Kled from Glaive Bingus. Can correct me if I'm wrong, in the regular season.
I've not seen any Kled, and I was looking at Twitch chat, and Daydream.exe was saying that she has not seen Panzora, even other the name Kled. So,
Yeah.
could this be a Kled mid?
I mean,
Or
that's what I'm saying is
jungle?
I definitely assumed right off the bat that there was at the very least some flexibility with it. Kled mid is something that we have seen. I mean, Doinby was sort of the first person to popularize it several years ago, just ahead of FPX making their world's winning run. So it was a little bit popularized then. It gives you a lot of access to the map once you have Kled ultimate. You can drop it down and just go top lane or bot lane in just a matter of seconds with the speed that he's able to pick up. So that's kind of why it makes sense in the mid lane. With that said, it does leave you really, really vulnerable to potential ganks from the enemy jungler, because as we know, Redacted, with these melee mid laners needing to be pushed up. As of now, with the client draft, we're seeing Panzora locking in the Kled, but remember that they can still swap down to, I believe, 20 seconds once all of the players have actually selected their champions.
That is correct. That is correct. And we will see Espresso on the Olaf in the jungle, which we haven't seen Olaf in the jungle in quite a bit. Just given to those adjustment changes that Riot gave him, he has been more of a top lane staple. But of course, it does not really make much sense to put your Olaf as a support. So we will see Espresso piloting this Olaf jungle with King What's His Face on the Azir, of course. So that will be a, excuse me, Seraphine Amumu bot lane for Mushai and Blobby here, which is actually going to be really annoying for High Legacy and Xernia, because um once, I would say about level 3, they have lots of lockdown potential. So this Lulu Jinx will have to be very aware of their positioning and make sure they don't get locked up by the side of the new bot lane here. And then with your Olaf to just assist you and run the enemy down as well. Yeah, I expect to see Espresso really, and also like we were kind of talking about this off air. We really want to see New, if they're going to give Mushai these picks, play around her and enable her to be that carry for them um a lot more essentially, because it didn't really look like that for the side of Dorado Gaming New. With Glaive Bingus, they let Panzora do his thing. Meanwhile, you saw the other champions for Glaive Bingus play around High Legacy and do all they can to ensure that he had enough space to be that carry threat for his team. We need to see Dorado New do the same. At least let Marshall and Panzora deal with each other, and let Olaf and Azir try and create space for the Seraphine to get the poke and encore off.
Yeah, and going back to this bot lane, the Seraphina Mumu, kind of an interesting combo, because it is the absolute dream duo if you're an Olaf to be ganking that lane, just because of the speed up and the heal from the Seraphine, and then the additional lockdown that both of the Mumu and the Seraphine provide. But in just the pure 2v2 against the Jinx and the Lulu, I do think that the Seraphina Mumu will struggle to have enough damage to get through those Lulu shields. So that should be interesting in the lane phase, but I do think it, like you pointed out, Redacted, it does signal that Espresso is going to spend a lot of time down there in that bot lane. And another thing that we were talking about, I don't believe on the cast, but in between games, was how Panzora has shown throughout the first 2 games an ability to absorb a large amount of pressure into his lane and still come out ahead, gain resources, come out with kills, come out with these objectives. So I would like to see Dorado sort of recognize that and, say, hey, it's not that we're just going to leave Marshall infinitely on an island, but we don't need to necessarily invest resources up there. Marshall's doing fine in the 1v1 by himself. That's not the problem. We just want to get our bot lane ahead and kind of accelerate, hopefully through some of those dragons, which Olaf is also really great at taking down even early in the game.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we also said once again, King, what's his face? Not that he's not playing well, it's just we need to see a bit more agency come out of him. We need, and you already hampered on this, Elsa. We need to see Espresso probably more than likely look to put a bit more attention towards the bottom half of his map here. Marshall will be just fine into Panzora. Whether he even loses, at least in the early game, Set will still scale and be just okay. As long as, of course, Marshall doesn't feed Panzora an excessive amount of kills in the early game. What the um what the thing is that New needs to look to get the rest of the map to speed a lot quicker than they have done in these previous two games here. But with that being said, we are going to cut to a short break here. Elsa, before we do, does Glaive Bingus close it out? Yes or no?
I think Glaive Bingus just has so much momentum right now. I like this team comp a lot better than the last one for New, but I'm still gonna say Glaive pulls it over the line with just the ball they have rolling right now. I think a 3-0 is what we're gonna an early bedtime tonight is what I'll predict.
And yeah, I predicted on my bracket a 3-2 for in favor of Glaive Bingus, but currently it might not get there. We'll have to find out though, as we will be back shortly and see if Glaive Bingus close out our series tonight or if Dog New take us to a game 4. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone, for game 3 of our Thursday upper bracket round 1. It is Glaive Bingus on the blue side once again against Dog New, Dorado Gaming New on the red side. Elsa, you know what I'm going to ask you. Go ahead and answer the question.
Let's look at these summoner spells and the runes. I think the one thing that I would point out on Blobby here is ends up going for, I don't even remember, the frost snow slowing auto attack one. That's gonna be a little bit glacial augment is going to be a little bit difficult for a Mumu to consistently proc. Usually we see it on kind of longer ranged champions in the bottom lane from like Senna for example. used to take it pretty heavily. So it'll be interesting, if Blobby can get on top of High Legacy and or Xernean. The reason why you take it is because it allows you to stay on top of them, especially ooh, between the two, charges that a move can build up on the Q. But during the rest of the lane phase, it leaves you a lot squishier. And even when you do get that Q in, it leaves you a lot squishier than if you chose Aftershock. So it's an aggressive choice from Blobby, and we'll see if it pays off. It's going to be dependent on that early attention from Espresso, who has started onto the blue buff. And I would anticipate if he doesn't come bot right away, he has to do it after the first back.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will see if Espresso will look to this time give resources to the bottom side of his map in the early game here, and if Dog New can capitalize and give the tempo advantage to Mushai and King What's His Face. But currently, as usual, once again, no surprise, where are we? The top lane. And what's going on? A 1v1 brawl. But Panzora and Marshall always checking each other in that top lane here. And I would say, without jungle interference, it is slightly Panzora favored, as he does come out advantageous on those trades sometimes. But Marshall is not afraid to step to him and has punched Panzora a few times as well. So we'll see how that shapes up in this matchup here. Blobby getting the bandage toss on Xernean here, but the shielding does mitigate quite a bit of damage, and they'll just go ahead and back off.
I think early on, at the very least, in this top lane, it's definitely a skill matchup just because of the number of skill shots between these two champions. Obviously, Set wanting to hit the middle of that true gray. I don't know what that's the wrong thing. Whatever, hitting the middle of the W to get that added damage, and then also for Panzora on the Kled wanting to
the
hit
Haymaker.
Yeah. Yes, and then also wanting, hitting the hooks in as well. So, it's going to be all about kind of that micro game in the top lane, as it has been, really, as What's Its Face taking a pretty poor trade there, a level up on this Azir during the trade. They're still going down. And then, once again, Redacted 3 games in a row. Panzora with the aggressive summoner spell choice, Marshall with the teleport. It hasn't been worth it in the first 2 games. Not that, the change in summoner spell would have made all the difference, but he's sticking by it.
Definitely sticking by it indeed, as we will have our action in the stuns in the bot lane. Elsa, I told you about this. First blood over to Mushai. Blobby trying to flash away as High Legacy is looking to clean up, knowing that they will not get out. High Legacy will use the flash to ensure that they get a kill in retribution, knowing that their life is going to be taken as well. Dog New with the 2-1 combo advantage currently in this game. Haymaker coming out as well. Dog Marshall.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the flash.
Oh my god. That sucks. That hurts.
It hurts on both sides. I mean, it hurts obviously for Marshall because he died, but then also Panzora expending the flash after the teleport does already claim the kill. But, either way, does end up getting the resources. So that's really what matters. And this is Zir continuing to be punished. But down to the bot lane, I was skeptical of whether or not there would be enough damage between this combo. And you were right, Redacted. I mean, it does kind of justify the choice of the rune. With the Glacial Augment, allowing them to just maximize the damage that they do have. On the other hand, though,
movement speed.
Yeah, that's true. On the other hand, though, High Legacy does pick one up in return, so it makes it at least salvageable that they get some gold, and in particular that it gets onto the Jinx.
Yep, absolutely, indeed. High Legacy knew that they weren't gonna get out. They saw the Olaf coming, and they just realized, all right, you know what, let me at least trade for one. As once again, Elsa, we were right. Espresso has visited the bot lane again. Bandage toss 1 and 2 connect on High Legacy here. The shielding from Xernean doing the best they can to try and keep the AD carry alive, to no avail. That is another 2-0. Actually, that is just a 2-0 sweep for Dog New in the bot lane this time around. And this Seraphine Amumu combo has done exactly what we said in draft was going to do once level 3 was online.
and it's predictable. As we called it out going into this game that Espresso is going to be down into the spot lane over and over again. He repeat ganks, but even if it's predictable, it doesn't necessarily mean that you can stop it from happening with, the engage that can come through from this bot lane duo. Just so good at facilitating Espresso, who now gets much scarier for the Jinx, having hit level 6. Doesn't care about any of the CC that can be provided by the Lulu or the Jinx. So Espresso, look for him to continue terrorizing the bot lane, possibly looking for, a dive once he cycles back with his clear. Unless he does choose to go top and help out Marshall, but, other than that one unfortunate kill with the turret shots, there hasn't been much going on.
I don't want to see Espresso top at all. I want to see him continue in the mid lane, or continue in the bot lane, and possibly the mid lane. But you know what? I guess I'm a liar. As Dogmu flashes forward with the showstopper there, Espresso KSing with the axe. I mean, not intentional, but it is what it is, as Marshall and Espresso take down Panzora. Elsa? Did we lose Elsa there? Alright. Well, while Elsa is finding his thoughts, I will continue to narrate the happenings of our game here. Currently, the Epic Champion is punishing King What's-His-Face a lot more than I thought. In this melee range matchup here, I expected the Azir to poke out the Mordekaiser a bit more vigorously, but that has not seemed to be the case here. Okay, Elsa just having some audio issues, so he will be back shortly.
Don't worry, I'm here to help you cast.
Awesome. I have producer MB Colorcaster here to assist me in this cast. So MB, what are your thoughts on this game so far? What do you think is going wrong for Glaive Bingus?
So Glaive Bingus has just been constantly dying across the map. They lost the first pick, but they're able to get the second through the little flash you said.
MB, as Blobby and Panzora are found in the mid lane. Espresso is on a rampage here. King What's-His-Face trying to find the Emperor's Divide to shove this Mordekaiser out into the lane. Will not be able to do so, as now Dognu are looking to take Shelly down, and this is a 2k gold lead in favor of Dognu, but Glaive Bingus have been here before. They are no stranger to gold deficits, so we'll see. And Flying Squirtle just waiting in the oh no,
I'm back. I'm back, just in time to observe that.
Welcome back, Elsa. Did you hear your wonderful sub come in for you, and did you see that gank in the bot lane?
Oh no, because I was having a little bit of an audio issue there, unfortunately. Sorry about that. But I'm glad that my sub was able to come in relief. That's the reason why he's here, after all.
Absolutely. Thank you, MB, for that temporary relief. We appreciate you. Appreciate producers as always. But yeah, Elsa, it was a funny ass gank that happened in the bot lane. I would just be crass. Flying Squirtle was just waiting there as Mushai knew she was gonna die. She used the encore to.
I came back in right as the Diana was just standing there, and I was like, "What allowed this to be a thing that is happening?" And it was also perfect timing because it was right as you said. Glaive knew what to do, and they had been there before. So, picking up some gold definitely in response there. And this Diana's kind of an interesting jungler that we don't, I feel like, see as much these days. And it's not because she's not good, but she is really focused on sort of that burst damage, that it can definitely be AoE damage, but that burst damage. So her getting that kill is really important. Also, looking at the CS here for Diana, she is behind Espresso, who has 4 kills but does have 89 creep score. So ripping through that jungle, and again, 500 gold down, but that's not actually that much given that her opponent has 3 more kills.
Yeah, absolutely. But Elsa, one thing you pointed out that we have kind of seen this time around, Espresso has a lot of gold, and this time he has been making a quite a bit more use of it, sharing that advantage across the map as he is in the bot lane once again. Probably looking to clear out these minions here to put some more gold into the pockets of Mushai and Blabe there, as the Mountain Drake is spawning in 5 seconds. Okay, I guess not, as he is just pathing away. So was that just attacks? He was here from some experience?
It seems like they must have changed their mind. You know, you always ideally want to use the Herald. When Dragon's coming up, you kind of want to wait for the enemy team to go to rotate for the Dragon or Rift Herald, and then you drop the Herald or whatever. So maybe they're going to do that. Maybe he's going to go mid. You know, you kind of want to just drop it in a place where they can't. They have to make a choice of responding to the Herald or getting Dragon. So that's what they're going to do mid lane, I would anticipate. Oh, maybe not.
I'm very curious as to why Nu did not contest that. I mean, sure.
I mean,
I feel like they were stronger and they were in a stronger position to contest. I'm not sure, but okay.
I think the idea is that it's because you're going to go for this Herald play, but then unfortunately, they end up just being late on it because Espresso has to run all the way around, but now he's waiting in the bush.
Yeah, Flying Squirtle, Moonfall crashes down. Espresso will just Ragnarok his way out of there. Marshall is here to back up his jungler, as they will take the Gromp in retribution. And honestly, Elsa, I didn't even notice when the tier 1 turret went down. This is the first time we've seen Panzora in, I would say, a losing lane in this matchup, right?
Yeah, and has fallen down about 20 CS, which is obviously, you know, very substantial, not only in terms of the gold, but also the experience, with Marshall sitting at level 10 right now. And yeah, I mean, looking at the gold right there, it is about 1,600 gold in favor of the set. So here, Panzora here is going to just look to freeze this wave. So in that way, it's kind of a blessing with his turret going down. And while Kled does, you know, you do think of the 1v1 matchup, but it is kind of an aggressive pick. He also can facilitate the team with the engage and the ultimate as well with the charge, so coming through. So Panzora probably just going to look to sit in this top lane frozen as long as he can until he needs to arrive for those team fights.
Absolutely, indeed. As Panzora, you know, and you mentioned that, I want to harp on that once again as well. It's not something you see quite often in amateur play, is freezing in the side lane that far out. You typically just see a lot of players in solo queue just always shove the wave, but that's a really smart play for Panzora right now, who is down in gold and in levels as well, is to just let the minions come into your lane, try and CS as much as possible while there are no critical objectives on the board, so that way you can catch up in what is already a deficit favored lane, or deficit lane for Panzora here. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean,
oh yeah, Cloud Drake spawning in 230. That was my last point, and we'll look to see how these teams respond to this objective on the way.
Well, that fits exactly into what I was going to say, which is that the downside to this kind of freeze is that it does lose your team a lot of map control. Just because you are just kind of sitting back, you know, it doesn't push your vision forward with your minions going through the lane. But with that being said, you know, over 2 minutes as on the Dragon means that there isn't really much that they need to be doing on the map for Glaive, but maybe they're looking for a pick.
They are looking for a pick, as Marshall will be the champion they want to pick off. The Haymaker comes out, but the Moonfall as well. Flash, Ignite from Panzora. I'm sorry, from Flying Squirtle. Marshall will take down the Diana there, and now Panzora on the run on the wrong side of the map. Blobby and Espresso want to take out this Yordle. He has no ultimate as well. He was looking for the execute. The answer is no. The Ignite, the Axe, and Panzora goes down. Oh, there was no Ignite. It was the glacial.
Yeah, it is a 2-for-1, but a lot ends up being used, even just to get that second pick by Dorado. You saw Blobby there dropping the ultimate on a Mumu, which is a fairly extensive a fairly long cooldown at this point in the game. Also, even using the exhaust and needing to do so, otherwise he would have died. But at the end of the day, I think it could have been a little bit more advantageous of a play for Dorado than it was, just because of the amount of pressure generated by Marshall. Nothing really happening into the bot lane either during that time. But they have rotated now over here to the Rift Herald. Marshall teleported back into the top lane to be there. So now Espresso, we keep kind of telling the story of the first couple of games of Espresso getting ahead, pushing the pace, but not able to push it over the finish line. He got a little later, that pushed them a little bit later in game 2, a little bit later already here in game 3, but can they take it all the way? Is still the question. The Rift Herald, the second Rift Herald, dropped onto the mid lane turret, and it still doesn't die. Doesn't seem quite right as far as the execution.
Yeah. Oh my god, how much health does it have left? Let me see. It has 17 health left.
Yeah.
So
it's close.
Yeah, absolutely close. As Mushai looking to use the Encore and Flying Squirtle there, which does go wide, and Flying Squirtle in the middle of Dognu. The move all comes down, but there's no damage at all whatsoever, and Dognu have found the fight. They have found the advantage they're looking for, and they are currently running all over this Glaive Bingus squad and slapping them with their wallets. They will get this Cloud Drake after they're done taking down this Mordekaiser here, who was looking to take down the jungler. He will be able to do so. Flashes over the wall, but the Drake bumps him instead, and now Epi champion here. Will he get the execute, or will he be able to... Nope, the answer is no. Mushai, fighting 1v1 into a Mordekaiser here. I don't know if that's a good idea, as you are in melee range. Blobby will just take down the kill to ensure that his AD carry does not go down to the Mordekaiser there. So pretty close from Mushai there, but they were able to take out Mordekaiser.
Difference to me as we look at this replay between the first 2 games and this one is just that high legacy. So now we might get some more action.
Yeah, we might get some more
Jinx
action
is really
here.
struggling to get anything done.
Yeah, currently, and that's because of all the action in the bot lane this time that happened around. As the charge is coming through from Panzora here, Xernean was bandage tossed by Blobby. Espresso has found the backline, and High Legacy will have to run away. Glaive Bingus may have wanted this fight, but it's not on their terms. Dognu are running through the Bingus squad here as Wing What's His Face finds the Emperor's and shoves High Legacy into the feeding basket. Dognu get the ace, and they get the Cloud Drake.
And it's all about the difference in draft from game 2 to game 3 here from Dorado New, as the backline access that they have in this game with the set and with the Olaf in particular has just been absolutely huge. We see Xernean here forced to use her ultimate on herself, which is never where you want to be with the Lulu. High Legacy, even though he gets the nice Jinx rocket over the wall here, it just does very, very little damage because he just doesn't have the items. And then when he finally does try to find his moment to come into the fight, it's just not possible because the entire time King What's-Its-Face has just been saving that Azir ult to knock the Jinx into the team, and that's pretty much all she wrote. So even though Glaive still, keeping the fight relatively close, again, until this Jinx can really be a factor in these fights, they will continue to struggle, and I just don't know in what world High Legacy will be able to position as such.
Oh, I thought you still had a point there. My fault. It's gonna be very tough for Glaive Bingus here to come back, and I think we can confidently say that the tempo is firmly in Dognu's hands here, in their grasp. This time they have about an 8k gold lead in their favor. For the first time, Dognu have taken the gold lead they have and have accelerated it firmly within their grasp. So let's see how they will continue to push the tempo, push the pace on the Rift here, as they once again are fighting for their lives here, because Glaive Bingus do have the potential to come back and scale into this game, and then they will just send Dognu to the lower bracket if they come back and win. But Dognu are currently now working on this Baron here.
Yeah, and it
Charge
looks like
coming
Glaive
in.
is going to contest.
Panzora, and this is a good fight as the chompers come out. The encore goes wide, does not connect. High Legacy, keep your eyes on this Jinx as Panzora has split the dog new team. Emperor Divide does connect when Exernian goes down, but High Legacy is still alive. Once again, Jinx and the Mordekaiser are still healthy. Flying Squirtle will flash away, and they will deter Dog New from taking the Baron right now, just for the time being. But they are posturing, looking to go back towards it. Will they do so? It is a 3v5, so they do have the numbers advantage here. Elsa, oh boy.
Flying Squirtle's still alive, though. I think so far this is really good for Glaive. They're really just wasting a lot of time.
Watch you guys on High Legacy here, as every champion will just use the ultimate on Mushai there, and he takes down the AD carry of Dog New, but Dog New take down the Jinx as well. Flying Squirtle is going to be given over as well, as Epic Champion is just now playing distraction here. Dog New will still take down the Mordekaiser. They're pinking the Baron once again. Do they have enough damage though? The answer just might be yes, because there is an Azir on the table.
Yeah, and with the Mordekaiser dead now, High Legacy not going to be able to get into the fight. I just don't think that there is enough left in the tank for Glaive Bingus. They are going to try to push up the mid lane to maybe pick up an ejected bounty, but I don't think that they have enough time to pick that one up. And Marshall just will not die in these fights, refusing to go down at this point on the set, so far ahead. Going into those fights was 3,000 gold ahead of Panzora, now sitting at, it looks like, almost 4,000 gold ahead, just top laner to top laner. So not even close here for this set, who's just feeling extremely strong right now. And, you know, until High Legacy can honestly get more items, I just don't know that they have the ability to kill Marshall. It's just going to take a really long time, and it's going to depend on them not having to focus their damage onto anyone else, which is pretty unlikely.
And Elsa, here's another thing I have just noticed. If we take a look at the mythics and items, Mushai, typically we see the Seraphine go more of the damage build with the Leandri's Tempest there, but she has opted for the Moonstone, as Dog New will take this tier 2 turret here in the mid lane. So this is a more of a supportive Seraphine build, which is a little interesting. I mean, granted, they have a lot of damage with the set, Olaf and Azir, of course. So, but it's not typically seen, I believe, in the AD carry position, I would say, right?
Yeah, I just think in this situation, especially given how fed Olaf got early in the game, you know that you just want to play this really selfless style where you're, you know, just kind of pressing your buttons to benefit your Olaf over and over again as much as possible.
Yeah, 1 and 7.
You know, I think that could definitely have been a pivot that was made just based on the way that the kills were distributed early in the game, which was, you know, obviously fine for this Olaf to get ahead if you're able to continue it. And, you know, hats off to Espresso. I mean, it's not, you know, it's not over yet. I don't want to cast or curse. It's not over yet, but definitely has continued that pressure for sure. And as the Baron, you know, Baron buff minions start to crash in on the turret, we'll see if they can close.
Absolutely looking very dire for the side of Glaive Bingus here in this game 3, as we see both top laners splitting up opposing lanes. Marshall in the top lane, Panzora in the bot lane, Glaive Bingus playing defense in the mid lane here. Baron buff still active just a little while longer. They really want to try and crack open this inhibitor turret here before it expires.
And here comes the push.
The push is
Glaive
here.
really just wants to stall here.
Absolutely.
Glaive can get another item on this Jinx. That's when they can kind of finally continue to do something. And they have picked up an objective bounty on the other side. So right now, even though Baron is active, this is a win for Glaive.
Is it a win? I mean, Dog New.
What can Dog do? They need to force something.
As High Legacy just runs down High Legacy there with the Stride Breaker. Wild Growth comes out as well. And Glaive Bingus are just being bullied in their own base here. Charge from Panzora, who's trying to take down this jungler here. Oh, Panzora's doing quite a bit of damage, but the Seraphine heals from Mushai are just keeping her team members alive so much. It was the right build for her. It may not have as much damage, but the utility cannot be unmatched. Dog New get the near ace, and they are going to look for this Nexus turrets next. Only Xernean left alive. Can the Lulu do it? Can the Lulu stop the new Rampage? I don't think so, and it looks like Dog New are gonna take game 3, and they're going to continue to fight for their upper bracket lives a little while longer.
They are not gonna let this series end. Right there, it is going to be a game going over to Dorado New here. And I will say, I think most importantly for them with this victory, it wasn't just, one aspect of the team kind of 1v9 carrying the rest of them through it. There was consistently good play in every single lane. Once again, Redacted, we didn't really say King what's his face name many times, but 4-0-8 on the Azir, deathless performance, pumping out a lot of damage. So, I mean, maybe that's just maybe it's on our analysis, I guess, with that one.
No, I think the biggest thing as well this time is what we have kind of been saying is that New found an identity and they played towards it very
Yeah.
well. They let Marshall
Yep.
just do his thing in the top lane, and they put a lot of golden resources into Mushai and Blobby in the bot lane. And then once again, in these team fights, they once again had Blobby and Olaf go in, and of course the set go in, create chaos. Mushai and Azir looking for these flank angles and just charms or whatnot. Especially King What's His Face finding the really pivotal Emperor divides there to shove High Legacy time and time again, or just
Mhm.
create chaos in the backline and separate Glaive Bingus's front line and back line, allowing Dorado New to clean up whoever was in front of them, and then they progress forward as a unit together.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and it was all about that backline access. That's what we kept talking about. The ability to get onto high legacy again and again and make the game just unplayable for the Glaive Bingus ADC, who was so critical in both of the game wins in game 1 and 2. So for Glaive, I honestly, I
I
don't
think
think
it's time
Olaf's
to
like a
not look at
crazily
Jinx anymore.
overpowered champion, but I would say maybe, well, yeah, maybe put the Jinx away, maybe find something with a little bit more self peel. Zeri, something that was open last game. Not sure if that's something they feel comfortable playing or not. But I think also maybe putting the Olaf to bed, just banning that one away, because that champion in particular does have kind of that unique ability to just run through the opponents with that CC immunity with the ultimate. So that might just be one to take off the table, or maybe even pick for yourselves if that's something Flying Squirtle or Pansora wants to take onto the Rift.
Absolutely, I absolutely agree, Elsa. But we will find out here shortly how Glaive Bingus will respond to Dorado's new aggression here shortly. They do have side selection this time since they did finally lose their first game of this series. So we'll see if Glaive Bingus will continue to be on the blue side or if they will now pick the red side and look for that counter pick and seize game 4. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. You don't want to miss it. Welcome back, everyone, as we are preparing for our Game 4 picks and bans draft here. Dog New on the blue side as Glaive Bingus has elected to be on the red side this time. They want that counter pick. They want they want to punish and probably actually I don't know who they would give counter pick to, Elsa. Who do you think they would give counter pick to? Let me ask you.
I mean, that's honestly something that I was thinking about. I mean, the Epic Champion has been really comfortable blind picking so far on both sides in this series. So I would imagine that Panzora is going to get the counter pick here. Uh, so, I mean, I guess, the question then becomes here, if you're Glaive, I think going into game 3, you probably felt really confident and comfortable. Game 2, I think was definitely the the least close, or it was the cl- was the least close game out of out of the first two. So, but
Mhm.
after game 3, I think you are starting to feel a little bit concerned. If you're Glaive, just because I think that Marshall did finally find that balance in game 3 of winning the lane, but also playing for the team enough to get them over the line. Like we talked about, accelerating the game, into the mid and late with working with his jungler. So if they can do that again, Dorado's sitting in a pretty good spot. Uh, I don't know. I don't know what your original question is, but that's my analysis.
No, I mean, you answered it. Yeah. So basically, you at least you think, and I think that's a good answer as well. Is that Glaive will look to give the counter pick to Panzora here.
Yes,
Um,
that's what it was about. Counter pick. Ah, yes. Yeah, they'll give it to Panzor. I don't know who else. I mean, obviously the only other one typically would be the mid laner, and just from what we've seen so far, playing the Mordekaiser, and the Azir are just champions that pretty comfortable blind picks, generally speaking. I mean, I guess technically not the Mordekaiser usually, but they really did not punish it
Ooh,
in that first game.
I would love to see a Zeri Yumi here from Glaive because neither of them have been banned. And the Xernean does play a Chanters, high legacy. Um, I believe they play the Zeri not as much in the regular season as
They definitely did
um
have a. Oh
yeah,
yeah, I mean they had a Yumi game. I'm not sure though,
yeah,
but maybe not
okay.
great.
Actually opting in to lock in the misfortune. They did have two games on the misfortune this season so far. Actually, in the last week against TA Sentinels here. So not a stranger to that pick at all. And misfortune is a good pick. I wonder why we are avoiding the Zeri. Is there? I mean, they didn't nerf her yet. That's the next patch, right? Ain't that
Yeah, I mean,
12/17?
I think
Maybe it
that
just doesn't
Zeri
fit
is.
better.
I mean, I think that, like, again, when we think about these drafts, it's easy to sort of associate it with pro play, in which you can kind of assume a level of execution from
Yep.
level ADC players, as far as the damage that they'll be able to put out 100%, as well as ensuring that they're not getting caught, and that's not only on the ADC, but as the team's positioning in a whole. And that's not to
Mhm.
flame Glaive at all, but it's just to say, it's understandable that not everybody automatically plays this pick. But with the Amumu being locked in aside, with the misfortune,
Curse of the
we
sad
saw
bullet
Squirtle.
time.
We saw Squirtle taking it in the jungle in game 1, but this particular bot lane duo definitely well known. But over for new, they have that Sivir, such a strong pick right now. We'll see what they decide to pair it with. It looks like they are gonna, pick the Trundle and the Azir, so it's gonna be a little bit of a repeat of game 1 as far as that part of the draft. But they'll have the Sivir instead of the Ash, which I like a lot better.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And King, what's his face on the Zir once again. So he will look to find these flank and disrupting angles on High Legacy here. And well, the backline of Glaive Bingus. But this time, High Legacy on the Misfortune will have a bit more movement speed. So we'll have a bit more opportunity to duck, dodge, and weave and get better positioning on the Rift during these team fights and neutral objective
Yeah.
and
Unfortunately,
engages we have.
she has zero move speed during her ultimate, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Which is like when a lot of so that does make me a little bit nervous. Just because they already do have a decent amount of interrupt, not only with the Azir, but actually Trundle Pillar is a pretty good counter if that has not been already used. Can be used to interrupt the MF as well. But Victor then being picked up again for Glaive. So kind of as we anticipated, not going to be any kind of mid lane counter pick coming through. And also to be fair, with the Azir already locked in, could be in the top lane, but probably going to end up going into the mid lane again, as that is what we saw before. And this is going to be just a repeat of what we already saw earlier with the Victor and the Azir.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we look at the next set of bans here from Glaive and New, Wukong, Ornn, out from the side of Dorado New, the Mordekaiser Aatrox actually from the side of Glaive. The Mordekaiser a bit more interesting to me, but at this point, you haven't revealed your top lane pick for either side. I mean, Trundle, Azir, flexes, yes, but typically Marshall is not known to play those champions, at least in the regular season here. So it does make sense for those champions to be taken out oh, and yeah, okay. Also, we're getting an Amumu jungle once again, more than likely, as the Rakan
Yeah.
has been picked up. And Xernean and Rakan, name a better combo, name a more iconic duo. That is a champ she was known for, that she was dubbed an all-star for last season in the CCS here, or last split, correction. So that is a
Yeah.
very power and staple pick for Xernean here, and we'll look to see her do magical things across the rift. As the Sejuani has been locked in for New, I expect that to go into the hands of Marshall there. So Sej top. Now Panzor knows what he's playing into. I wonder what they will pick for him.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of interesting because I would imagine that there probably would still be some flexibility there with the Sejuani. I mean,
Yeah, true. It could
uh,
be Sej
traditionally,
jungle, Trundle top.
recently, of course, Sejuani top has been way more in popularity. In the past, we always thought of Sejuani jungle. More recently, though, we have seen more flexibility with Sejuani going back into the jungle a little bit more. I know Gen G with Peanut has been happy to do that. And we've seen it in other regions as well. So I think that it's powerful for New to at least have that mind game going on, just because what Panzora is going to pick is very, very different against a Trundle as opposed to a Sejuani. Sejuani you could definitely consider a tank here that could set up the Victor and the Misfortune, but you don't obviously want to pick a tank into Trundle, but instead Singe definitely kind
Oh,
of toes the line in between both of those, does have some of that engage and setup, but also isn't going to be so vulnerable to the Trundle because he can go for that AP route.
Singed for Panzora here, and my man Panzora has played. I've played a different champion every single game. Let me double
Got
check, but
some
I
weird
believe,
Singe tech, I'm pretty
yeah,
sure, if we go on his solo queue. I pretty remember people have talked about that. So
really,
yeah,
yeah, it's
here,
played
let
a
me take.
different champion every single game here. So, definitely a wide and vast champ pool that this player does have here. So yeah, we'll see how the Singe will play in the top lane here. We can expect to see a lot of proxy farming and a lot of knowing slows and flips and whatnot. Probably some ganks as well because of how um easy it can be to set that up between the Singed and the Amumu. Of course, you want to make sure you get that slowdown first, so that way the bandage toss is easier to connect. But yeah, this is a very interesting draft here from Glaive. I expect to see them go more of a 4-1 split. Of course, with Panzora doing his thing in the side lane, and the rest of the team causing havoc elsewhere, giving New the decision: do we want to go deal with Singe? Then how many people do we want to send to deal with this Singe? Or do we look to take the numbers advantage into the remaining members of Glaive Fingers here?
Yeah, and as far as Singed and how it kind of fits in against the enemy team composition, Peanut from Goldfish Gaming, primarily last split, had played a ton of the Singe, and what it's really, really good at is disrupting the enemy backline, particularly immobile AD carries. And traditionally, we think of Sivir as a little bit less vulnerable as something like a Jinx because she has that spell shield, but Singed can just instantly pop the spell shield with the poison by making sure that she's hit by that. So it's really, really difficult, if not basically impossible, for the Sivir to properly time the spell shield and get herself in order to avoid the flip. So I would definitely look for Panzora to be, beelining back there, either going for the Azir or that Sivir, and just, getting those pivotal carries out of the fight, and or just, kind of generating those very, very clear picks and win conditions in the team fight, for Glaive.
Yeah, absolutely, Elsa. Yeah, well, and Mushai will have to manage, that's the word I'm looking for, manage that spell shield tech, manage that
Yeah.
spell shield ability very carefully, because I mean, obviously it only blocks one spell, so you have to make sure your positioning is already pretty pristine, as you have a Rakan, a Mumu,
Yep.
Victor trying to disrupt your movement. But now you got a Singed running at you who's gonna look to flip you as well. So which spell are you gonna block here, you
Tricky.
know?
Yeah, and I mean, I think it like the Leona pick is a little bit questionable for me, honestly, for new here at the end of the draft, just because, uh, you know,
But Nu
we
is a counter, or not, sorry, Leona is a counter into Rakan, I believe.
so in lane it makes sense to me, but just as far
Yeah.
as team compositions go, I see this Rakan and the Amumu as well as the MF. We know that that means that they want to dive in with this Wombo and get the MF damage over the top of all of that. And Leona kind of wants to dive in. I'm just afraid of whether or not this is Zir and Sivir will kind of be left to crumble in the backline. But on the other hand, as I say that, Leona also has the ability to cancel the MF from long range with the ultimate. So definitely a lot of sort of skill expression that's going to make the difference in these lane matchups as well as these team fight situations.
Yeah, absolutely. And Elsa, you have some dissenters in Twitch chat there, so hopefully
Okay.
hopefully your point is proven correct, as I'm sure they will let you know if the Leona does win and Nu takes us to a game 5 here. As we now are into our client draft here. It was a short delay in between that, so we do apologize. Players just had to ensure that everything was good to go at home, and it is now. So here in client draft, as we are now getting through, you know what, Elsa, since we have a bit more time, I guess we already talked about the top lane. I feel like there's nothing else to really talk about. Well, let's see if it's the Trundle or the Sedge angle first, right? Once these bans come through, we do believe it should be the Sedge angle into the
Right.
Singed here, but part of
I
me,
mean,
low key,
I
wouldn't be
think it
surprised if it
honestly
was
could be
Trundle
either
actually.
one. I think Trundle does kind of probably. I mean, well, Trundle definitely goes harder, much much harder in the 1v1. And also I think as the game scales on, shouldn't ever be dying to Singe, because if Singe is opting into being right next to Trundle, then he's just going to get shredded. But on the other hand, Trundle obviously going to give a lot more advantages as far as the jungle clear, being a little bit more competitive in that aspect. In the first game, we did see Espresso taking advantage of that 1v1 matchup against the Amumu for the first part of the game. So probably going to just look to repeat that. And I think that, like, for Marshall on this Sejuani, the Singe could be a little bit annoying for him in lane, just because eventually the Sejuani shouldn't do too much damage to the Singe, and Singe just should be able to kite it out. But at the same time, Marshall is just going to be much more interested in grouping with the team, and when he is going in on the Singe, is probably going to be assisting a gank from Espresso anyways. So Marshall really kind of zeroing in on this team focus style with the Sejuani pick here in game 4.
Absolutely. So then the next biggest question is, of course, we'll see Marshall with the TP, but will Singed have the ignite, or will he have a TP this time? I wonder what
No,
Panzora's
it's gonna be
spells
Flash
are gonna
Ghost.
be.
It's gonna be Flash Ghost. I bet you anything. Yeah,
Flash
I
Ghost.
I would.
That's
Yeah,
your prediction for his summoning spells?
yeah, yeah. For Singed, yeah. I mean, that's like Flash Ghost is pretty popular. Also just looking on solo queue, I know solo queue obviously not always the same. But we do see Panzora taking that one pretty frequently. Um, but yeah, I mean, will be interesting to see here. I always feel like when you index so heavily into this really high quality engage like Glaive has with the Amumu and the Rakan, it does sort of put the onus on you to make the most of that engage. You need to hit your abilities, but also on top of that, you need to make sure to make your first wave of damage, so to speak, really, really count, and take out one, if not more, of these primary damage dealers for Dorado New. Because otherwise, if they're able to kite back through the first part of the fight, we talked about how Leona has the ability to interrupt the MF, has the ability to, stun and peel backwards with the Azir as well. And, Sejuani also going to be able to isolate those targets coming into the backline. So it's going to be all about these team fights, and which team can really stamp their make the biggest stamp early on, in these engages.
Yeah, yeah, Elsa, and I think there's not much else to say as we have said everything we can. So my question for
Everything has been
you
said.
is once again, who wins games four? Is New gonna take us to Silver Scrapes, or is Glaive Bingus gonna end it here? What's your thoughts, or what do you think?
I am not gonna lie to you right now. I'm pretty tired. I'm in the process of moving, so I'm really ready to go to bed. So that part of my brain wants to say Glaive. There's something else in my head there's a dog barking in my outside the window, that's telling me Dorado Gaming is gonna win game 4 and send it to game 5 just to spite you. So I think I'm gonna pick Dorado. I like the team composition they have here, and they also have the momentum coming out of game 3.
No, you did not. With the, you should look into voice
Yes,
acting
I
at
just
some point, my
impersonated a
fresh.
dog. No big
Yeah,
deal.
definitely look into that. Hey, maybe you can be their next VTuber if they get this win or if they get the series win.
Yeah.
Just go ahead and DM Zol. But
Yep.
I I I think Glaive are still gonna take this. I'm gonna stick to my bracket. Um, if New wins this, fine. But then I'm still sticking with Glaive throughout the entire series. I'm gonna stick to my bracket once again. And that's just my thoughts on it. And we will find out if that comes true or not, or if Elsa and that dog that's in his ear are gonna be right. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Wait, we didn't hit play. Wait, gotta sync up.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Hello.
Okay. Hold up.
All right.
Revive it. For game 4.
That's one word for it. Yep. Perfect.
Game 4 of Dorado Gaming New against Glaive Bingus. As you can tell, we have some fatigued production staff with us tonight, but we've got it all figured out and squared away. So once again, gonna be a 5-champ lineup in the middle of the river. Elsa, you know what I'm gonna ask, so let's go ahead and answer the question.
Looking at the summoner spells here, we finally, though, do get to see Marshall taking the Ignite, which is, pretty typical on the Sejuani. Honestly, does not really bring... You want to take that Ignite just to bring the extra sort of kill potential that doesn't necessarily exist without it. And then for Panzora, as I had predicted, he does end up taking the Ghost with the Flash. Interesting, does go with the fleet footwork. Singed, a champion that kind of goes with a variety of rune sets here, can take advantage of a lot of them. I would imagine with the fleet footwork, really just looking to kite around this Sejuani, who is looking to get those chain those auto attacks against you in order to proc her passive. So if you can't avoid that, as Singed, that is obviously ideal. And I would imagine that is what kind of influences that choice here.
Yeah, absolutely. It is the poke misfortune here that we do see coming out from High Legacy. Also, we haven't really talked about it too much because we're always so focused more so on what the junglers are doing. We haven't really looked at their pathing here, as both junglers are starting on the top side of the map here. Espresso will be pathing towards the bottom half of the rift here currently, as Flying Squirtle is doing a fluke clear in the red side, so I don't expect to see any battle over the Scuttle Crabs here. But once again, Glaive Bingus do have the push and are pretty pushed up forward in the bot lane there, so we could see Espresso look to punish them and gank the Glaive Bingus bot lane here. Actually, I guess both junglers will be in the bot lane eventually for a gathering, as the Leona will get the stun on Exerdian here, who will just be able to dash away. There is a ping, and they will now be aware of where the Trundle is. We see some pings coming out, rotating from the side of the Glaive Bingus bot lane here. Exerdian does get the knockup. Espresso trading some autos. He will back away, and I believe we're gonna fight over a Scuttle, as the flash came out from Panzora here. Marshall, he now is grounded. Marshall dead. First blood over to Panzora. Scuttle Crab, however, over to Espresso.
And with the first blood going over to Panzora, I do think that's a little bit concerning in the top lane for Marshall, who, unlike any of the other games, he doesn't really have that fallback of his champion spiking at a certain item, or sort of scaling as far as the 1v1 skirmishes go. Yes, Sejuani is going to hit that level 6 and get very tanky.
Yeah, epic champion just went down. There was nothing to say, so continue your point, sir.
Well, sorry about just a solo kill in the mid lane, like you said, not really much to say. And by that I kind of mean it's sort of inexcusable for Victor to die in that situation. So that is not gold that you want to give away for free over to this Azir. So a little bit of a concern there. Maybe, we're fatigued. The players are probably fatigued as well. So not necessarily as much discipline when it comes to what's going on in this lane phase here. Top lane, I guess, kills are to be expected because we've been seeing that all game long, but not so much in the mid lane.
Yeah, absolutely. And Panzora and Marshall trading back and forth here in the top lane.
Ooh.
This time, Marshall will look to get the revenge kill on Panzora here. Whoa, the healing, the flip from Panzora. Wow, this Singed is just a menace and quite the annoying champion to punish.
Yeah, and Singed also has very bizarre trade patterns. Like you kind of could see there, as you know, Panzer just kind of running around. A lot of it's about wasting time. Oh,
As, yeah, Xernean High Legacy now being punished by Espresso and Mushai here. The Ignite, the Chomp, and High Legacy goes down. Espresso as well. 1-for-1 in the bot lane.
1-for-1, but only one team invested the time of their jungler, and that was Dorado new. So overall, you know, it will be Muchai finding the push here on the back end of the fight. But it is a kill. It does go over to Xernean, so not, you know, not really who you would like the gold to be on as far as a target, but as far as, you know, the experience and all that fun stuff, you know, it is still the assist being gifted over and all that. So I would say across the map, that is pretty nice if you're Glaive, Bingus, and into the, you know, as we kind of, you know, check in on some of this early CS, Panzora, despite the early kill and despite doing well in that trade that we had just watched, is going to be down several minions here, almost 10 minions, even after the wave crashes here. On the other hand, though, it is Flying Squirtle going to have an advantage in the jungle.
Yep, Flying Squirtle advantage in the jungle. Actually, whoa, that's not just an advantage in the jungle, Elsa. Unless my
Yes.
scoreboard is bugged. Let me go ahead and double check because needed to make sure that I wasn't seeing things. I'm not tripping here. Yeah, he's double his currently the CS here.
It's only about
For
300
Right.
gold,
Yeah.
350 gold, but still, I mean, that is a lot of gold at this point.
That is not common, right? That is not common
No.
for an Amumu to be that much gold. Up on the Azir as King What's-His-Face will find the Shurima Shuffle flash forward. The Glacial Prison connects as well. And King What's-His-Face will take down the Epi Champion.
Yeah, the Epic Champion for really the first time this series having trouble staying safe, finding safety in lane with this victor. This time it is going to be Marshall coming down with the Glacial Prison to assist. But King What's-Its-Face getting, you know, feeling really, really good here on this Azir, sitting up about 800 gold over his opponent. And Panzora still looking to, you know, just do Singe things and maybe wanting to begin a little bit of proxy farming.
Yeah, I was just about to say that we haven't seen a lot of Singe things out from Panzora just yet, but that is starting to be the case now as the ultimate is online here for Panzora there, that insanity potion there. So hopefully we see a lot more Singe things as expected, and of course Marshall will be very annoyed with his lane state just due to the Singe doing the Singe things, and of course he has the authority to do this because his Amumu is here to back him up as we continue. Well, at least for Glaive Bingus, they're continuing this bout of vertical jungling here. They know that Espresso is on the other side of the map, so they're okay with that. They even have a ward in the base of New there, so that way they can be aware of any pathing into that blue side jungle.
And luckily, Sejuani does have pretty decent wave clear, just to be able to counter this proxy from Singe, but definitely not the same as you know, a champion that builds lifesteal that might just be able to stand up and like tank the entire wave as you clear it. Eventually, she will start to lose some HP there. So it does get pretty annoying. They are also going to translate that into the Rift Herald in order to trade on the other side of the map, because we do see the dragon going down. So yeah, just a really, really strong vertical split of resources coming out here between Glaive and Dorado. 9 minutes in.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, thanks for pointing that out as well. Dognu will claim the Infernal Drake here. Mountain Drake next on the board. So it would be neither of those souls we see here. Ocean Cloud and Hextech are in the cards, as Shelly has been summoned to put more gold into this Singe here, who will ground Marshall. Marshall looking to trade vigorously into this Singe. Flying Squirtle and Express will find each other in the blue jungle, and that was just a bit too far forward from the new jungler there. Epi Champion will clean it up and get the kill.
And Panzora does only get 2 turret plates off of that, but is going to continue to try to press his advantage as he pushes the wave in here top. Meanwhile, on the bout side, as you mentioned, Espresso going down, not having the impact early in the game on this Trundle that he did manage to have in game 1. And now that Amumu has well past that level 6 mark at level 7, has that additional CC and team fight utility, it starts to kind of make you wonder what the place of this Trundle is going to be throughout the rest of this game, because it's not going to be in as much of a carry position as he was in the first one.
Absolutely not for Espresso here. And if you're not going to be the carrying or in a carry position for your team, you need to make sure that you can enable the other members of your team to do so. King What's His Face is currently in a good position to do that with the 2 kills that he has on his champion. So I want to see King What's His Face have a lot of agency for the side of Dognu later on in the game here. Mushai also quietly building a steady lead against High Legacy here. I'll have to continue my point later. Xernean does dash in with the grand entrance there. The quickness to stun and charm the members of Dognu. Espresso will go down after Flying Squirtle was already claimed first. King What's His Face is up here to assist his jungler. Epi Champion is here as well. He does currently have a flank angle if any more violence was to continue, but that will be all for now. Both sides decide to cease and desist and go back to their lanes.
So a pretty simple trade here coming out, but Panzora is the beneficiary there. Now 2-0-0 on the Singed, has resolved that CS deficit that he was at before, and again, it might not, I could be wrong, but I do think that this starts to get pretty annoying for Sejuani here soon. As it looks like Lobby was looking for some kind of engage on the bot side, wasn't able to find it.
Yeah, High Legacy.
Panzora just ignoring him.
Yeah.
True. Cleanse is going to be burned, but it's hard to not. You keep looking at this top lane, no ultimate available there from the Sejuani, so probably not anything going to break out too suddenly unless both top laners opt into it. But checking in elsewhere here, Muchai has developed a pretty nice CS lead here on the Sivir, which is good to see. Will be able to cash in that Cullen not too long either, and so that Sivir is going to be a big piece of late game insurance here for Dorado later in the fights if Muchai can stay alive against what we talked about in so much in Champions Select, which is this dive composition from Glaive.
Absolutely. And despite the fact that Trundle, Espresso, 0-3-2, again, as you said, Elsa, King What's His Face and Mushai are the champions this time around that you absolutely are glad they have these early game kills on, and that the Trundle or no one else was able to claim, as actually Blabe does not have a single assist, kill, or death, which is quite surprising for a support, given, I mean, it's only 4 kills, but given how these kills came about, you would think that Leona would have some assists on their in their KDA by now. That's not the case, but I'm sure that would change as the Mountain Drake has spawned, and it looks like both teams do want to contest for this neutral objective.
Yeah, both teams are going to make their way over, trying to set down Vision, take down some Vision. The objective itself is not worth a massive amount because, we're not even near Soul Point or anything like that, but it is just a great stage here for both teams to try to set up and look for something. Remember, Glacial Prison from Marshall is just such an easy go button if they find the right target.
For the flank angle, in the backline as Marshall charges forward, they find the Epic Champion Panzora. Panzora finds the flank. Xernean is in the middle of the quickness and bullet time come out as well. The Leona stun catches one, and Dorado think they have the advantage here, but High Legacy and Panzora are still alive, and Nu are being completely wiped off the rift here. Xernean was alive in the stasis, but she will be taken down. Panzora, with the double kill there, shuts down the Azir. Blobby is the only one left alive. Panzora 4-0-2 on this Singed here. as well as the 2-2-2 Epic Champion in our replay here. So go ahead and break it down.
And Marshall with, a really good go button here, knowing that there is that flank on the other side. They need to take the fight right now. But unfortunately, with Muchai getting caught out in the middle of that fight, going down really, really early on, after that, Panzora really just does deliver that extended damage that they need, even flipping the Azir under the turret for the additional shots there. Make sure that he ends up going down, and all in all, it's a big win for Glaive.
Espresso charging forward. The Amumu, Victor, and Panzora are here to assist. Grounded with the Mega Adhesive, the fling as well. They find the jungler for Dorado Nu, and the jungler is down. Xernean takes the kill. Blobby is next, and the rest of Nu are on the retreat, but Panzora does not care. There is violence in his eyes. There is violence on his mind. Double kill for the top laner of Glaive Bingus. Panzora wants to end this series before the hope of a reverse sweep is even on the minds of Dorado Gaming Nu.
Yeah, Panzora is taking this game in his hands, just not allowing Nu to remain in it here, and just being so disruptive. That's the word that I continue to use to describe this Singed pick. Gets into the backline and also is just able to push the pace of the game. The dragon doesn't even end up going down during that engage, but they're right back there again, ready to fight and ready to continue to punish Nu. And the difference, even in the games that they lost redacted in game 1, in game 2, it seemed like Marshall was trying his best to kind of keep the team in the game, specifically in the team fights. But unfortunately on the Sejuani, while yes, he has a lot of strong tools, he's not individually able to take them over the line. And without that, it seems like Dorado Nu is kind of struggling to find their direction in these team fights.
Absolutely. And, Elsa, the craziest thing is King What's-His-Face is 4-1-1 on the Azir. And he has damage. The Leandris is online. Mushai's Mythic online as well. So the carries, they are online. They can do the work that needs to be done. I just think as of right now, Glaive Bingus have just found the better engages, and they're not tracking Panzora as well as they could, and that has punished them quite vigorously.
Well, and I was just going to mention that with excuse me again, with King's What's-His-Face on the Azir, what can he really do in the face of this Singed, who, he can't fight once they're right next to each other. So, he did do an okay job in that previous fight of sort of cutting things out.
Whoa, I don't even think they
be able to do as much
them though,
damage as they
Elsa. It wouldn't just be more about vision and just knowing the awareness of where the Rakan or Panzora
they
would
did
flank from.
I mean, I don't. If they didn't know where the Rakan was flanking from, they at least had a really good idea, because they did try to force the engage at that moment, which I think was effective. But the problem was, just like we actually talked about more so for Glaive, if you do not, get a pick with that initial dive in from Marshall on the Sejuani and the commitment to the Glacial Prison, it's going to be rough from you from then on out, especially if Muchai is going to get caught out and your sustained damage is going to take a hit.
Absolutely, indeed. For the for Dorado Nu, they need to I guess just engage quicker before engage before you get engaged on,
or find a better priority target. I mean, it is really difficult at this point, because if Glaive is positioning correctly, you should never be able to hit a Glacial Prison straight onto High Legacy to start the fight, or the Epic Champion. But mistakes do happen, so it's going to be all about those sort of windows to make these picks happen in the team fights and beyond that as well, just around the map with vision.
Yeah, so also currently it is if production could go ahead and toggle that X button for me, it is a 3k gold lead in favor of Glaive Bingus here. And let's look at where the gold is. My goodness, look at Panzora in the top lane. I'm not even gonna do the math there. It's about 2k more in favor of the Glaive Bingus top laner here. And then of course, just going through the rest, Glaive Bingus having some heavy wallets, but Big Daddy Bucks Panzora in the top lane with the fattest one of all. 6-0-3 on this Singe, 600 gold bounty currently. At this rate, if Glaive Bingus find another team fight as this Ocean Drake is spawning here in about 50 seconds here, I will expect to see objective bounties come on the board for Dorado New.
Yeah, I would as well. And, for Panzora holding this gold lead, I didn't know exactly what point in the game it would be at that the Sejuani would start to struggle with the Singe, but we've definitely surpassed that point. Now, as Marshall is going to be all the way on the other
And
side.
he doesn't even have a mythic yet. Look at his two
trying
items.
to take the turret. Doesn't even have a mythic yet, and there's just no one at all who can match this Singe. Because again, King What's Its Face, he can peel for himself as the Azir, but he doesn't have the offensive ability to make anything happen against Panzora. And so, sure, this top lane turret will go down, but it looks like Glaive will be able to trade it. I mean, honestly, I guess if you're behind for Dorado,
I think they're gonna trade these two turrets here for the Ocean Drake, which in my opinion is not a bad idea. You do not want to fight Glaive right now currently because Panzora is just too annoying to deal with in a team fight scenario. So look to get advantages elsewhere on the map. It's only Drake number 2. You'll be okay.
And with that, the turret going down, they are going to get the Drake. Probably would have been optimal, I guess, for Panzor to maybe stay, but it does look like now they're going to start the Baron, so never mind.
Oh my goodness, they are starting the Baron, and they do have the damage to do this. Once again, those carries, King What's-His-Face and Mushai, have the burn, and Dorado get out of... Well, they're going to try and get out of the dodge. The Emperor's Divide comes through. Exernian finds the flank, and time combo as well. But Exernian is the first one to go down, actually, instead. Epic Champion will flash over. Dorado New are trying to get out with this Baron as the Chaos Storm comes through and claims 2. Epic Champion with the triple kill coming out from King What's-His-Face. He ensures that not all of Glaive Bingus will punish Dog New, but Glaive Bingus, I'm sorry, Dog New ensures that Glaive Bingus will not punish them entirely for their very cheeky play there, but Dog New are able to escape with some Baron buffs on Marshall and the Azir respectively. So 2 Baron buffs, not bad for a 20-minute Baron play for Dog New here. We'll see what they can make, how they can make use of it.
Both of these teams just scrapping back and forth so hard. And that fight was all about flying Squirtle at the beginning, even though he gets shuffled out by the Azir, still I believe hits 4 members with the Curse of the Sad Mummy before that happens. Exernian following up, but they aren't able to pick up kills off of that initial engagement, even though it does look good for them with Panzora coming up on the cleanup crew. On the other side of the fight, which we weren't even seeing, King What's-His-Face is just absolutely cleaning house on this Azir, having by far the strongest game of the series. And
Negative adhesive just goes wide, but Exernian using the dash there to just shield up shield up her top laner there. We see lots of pings though as Glaive Bingus were looking to punish Marshall, but Dog New have just decided, you know what? We're gonna take your mid lane instead. Exernian will dash away from Marshall here as Dog New look to take down this mid tier 2 turret. Flying Squirtle will find the connect on Espresso, the Sad Mummy as well. Chaos Storm as well to deter the rest of New from stepping forward any further. Bullet time wasn't even used yet, so keep your eye on that Misfortune as they do still have plenty of tools in their arsenal to dissuade Dog New from progressing any further.
And I think right now for Glaive, they're trying to look, both teams going to back off for now, but in these standoffs, they are really going to try to look for that pickoff on the Azir, who is the vast majority of the damage here from Dorado New. 7-1-1, 2.5 items completed, including one of them being that death cap. So really, really strong for King What's-His-Face. But if they are able to get a flip on the Azir, and if he doesn't have the ultimate available, or if they can just take him down really quickly, becomes a very, very different fight for Glaive here. Definitely a lot easier of a fight, say that.
And I know this is not part of our current stream right now, but I gotta put this out there for any CCS connoisseurs. Matt G has beat his curse and he's gone past the first round. So congrats to Goldfish Gaming. Anyway, back to this game. We see Dorado new here. They are currently only about, it's only about actually 800, 700 gold deficit. As Mushai and King What's His Face are putting, particularly King What's His Face, putting on the best carry performance we've seen out of him, I would say, this entire series so far. 7-1-1 on this Azir 500 gold bounty. King What's His Face is definitely putting into work, putting the team on his back as they are fighting desperately to try and force a game 5. We need to see if Mushai can assist, and she will eventually, as the Sivir is scaling. But Espresso right now being 1-7-7 is quite the quite tough for Dog New here, as he has been picked out and punished very aggressively from Glaive Bingus here.
Yeah, and
He's Banish Toss connects. Marshall, he fell for the bait. Oh, but yeah, I forgot. It's just in a movement of Singe. Like, it'll take them forever to kill Marshall at this rate now.
Yeah, he is. That this Sejuani does get really, really tanky later into the game, especially with her passive right off the bat. That's not does really well against kind of burst damage. So Marshall now, does have kind of that point of strength, not able to kill people, but is able to be very strong. And again, this is not the soul, but Dragon being traded, a Dragon that is not the soul being traded for a lot of other stuff.
What?
A lot.
What?
A lot.
No way, Dog New are really trying to force Glaive Bingus' hands here. The Glacial Prison connects. Dog New really want to force a game 5, and they're doing so much damage on these Nexus. But will they have thrown the game? Panzora finds the Mega Adhesive as the Emperor's Divide comes out as well. Panzora flashes in the middle. Being wiped. The rest of Glaive is here.
No.
Azir is still alive. Azir is down. Mushai and Dog Marshall are the only ones left alive. They are on the retreat. Flying Squirtle though has found the fling. The Banish Toss connects. The Banish Toss connects. Banish Toss 2 connects as well. There's a stun, and Flying Squirtle is saving that Sejuani there for his AD carry, who he will give the kill over to. Dog New went for the very cheeky play, and they were punished for it instead. But Glaive Bingus, they will have to be a bit more aware of how they want to split themselves on the map here. They almost lost this game.
And even though Dorado Gaming doesn't end up finishing it, it still is, I think, very much worth in their eyes. They pick up three turrets as well as the inhibitor. They also pick up that key 1k gold shutdown onto Panzora as well. So that is a lot of gold going over to their hands, and you can see it reflected in the gold total there at the top. It is just, just over 1k or 1k gold lead. Here 27 minutes into the game, redacted almost 28. That is very, very negligible. As far as leads go, and King What's His Face continuing to deliver in these fights. We saw the way that Panzor was just gliding straight for him, but even after the flip, not able to have enough damage to finish him out. So now with the Baron spawned up again, we'll see what these teams want to do. They're controlling vision, control the wave, going to New on the top side.
Yeah, absolutely. Glaive Bingus, in my opinion, should not look for a play like that once again, because also, did you see how quickly they melted those Nexus turrets? It was like butter. They were just cutting through it. Sedge is now at the point where she does not mind tanking up multiple tower shots to ensure her team can get through these turrets here. So they need to be I think Glaive needs to look for this fight either now or at least force out the TP from Marshall here, as he is pushing on the bot lane tier 2 turret here, and here it goes. Here we go. We are in a fight. The bullet time connects and is doing so much work. It has been interrupted though as Blobby finds the Sun. Panzora in the back line. Dog New in between all these Glaive Bingus members. Xerion and High Legacy are still alive. Flying Squirtle taking up the Azir turret there. King What's His Face gets a double kill once again. Panzora with the interrupt, now looking for this Mushai and Blobby combo. They are the only ones left alive, but Panzora, I don't know if you can fight this 1v2. He will retreat for the time being, as his bot lane, her High Legacy and Flying Squirtle, I keep thinking of Amumu was the support, will clear out these mid lane minions here.
They will, and you know, obviously there's advantages here, you know, that go over to both teams in these fights. But you know, at a certain point, yes, we're only 30 minutes into the game, but the later and later we get, it is so much far. It's not really that it's not as impactful who wins the fights in that there will probably be a final fight here in not too long that will really ultimately swing the game heavily one way or the other, allowing one of the teams to push down, because you know these fights where there's no objectives taken afterwards don't do a ton to swing the game in one direction or another.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, Elsa. And you know, Elsa, I feel like we've talked so much about the all these different fights and neutral objectives that have gone on in the game. I want to ask you this question that I haven't asked you in a while. Who had the tempo in this game? Because it felt like it was Glaive, but then Dorado with that Nexus push may have changed my
I
mind.
feel like it's Dorado, right? I mean, I just feel like with these two high, you know, scaling carries of the Azir and the Sivir, you know, very, very much on line with Sivir having finished her Infinity Edge at this point as well for Muchai. So if Muchai can sit in the back line alongside King What's-His-Face, like they were able to, like the Sivir at the very least was able to do in that last fight, you know, good things will happen. And, you know, Sivir theoretically should probably be able to dump out more damage than anybody else in these team fights if played properly. So that's a scary prospect for Glaive, and Panzora definitely is going to have to look for the right angle to make this happen.
Absolutely. We are no longer, I think we can comfortably or at least confidently say this, we are no longer in the mid game. This is basically late game territory in terms of these builds, especially for the Azir, Sivir, for the Victor and Misfortune here. Panzora as well if you want to include the Singe. But I mean, okay, hold that thought. Panzora does and the Azir ultimate as well into the bullet time. Marshall is in the backline here, but he has been stunned up. The Marshall is down. The Chaos Storm is doing work now. Flying Squirtle and the rest of Glaive Bingus are tearing through. Musha is almost going to go down, and she will triple kill for high legacy. Flying Squirtle, Glaive Bingus get the ace. Glaive Bingus will get the soul as the epic champion was left alive to continue doing that work, tearing through the rest of Dog New members.
They can't quite end the game, but they will pick up the Ocean Soul, which is going to be hugely valuable. Will they run straight to the Baron? It looks like, trying to look at the shortest death timers here, it looks like there's no teleports available on anyone on the map. It looks like they will not opt to do so. They don't have enough damage as we look at this replay here. And yeah, after the Azir ult comes out, it's a little bit awkward because it comes out too early, which is what allows High Legacy to rain down with the bullet time, kind of finally getting the damage that you want to see out of this MF. And, you know, it was set up notably by Panzora just running like a madman into the backline, getting that flip on King What's-His-Face to force the that ultimate cooldown right off the bat. So, the carries from carries doing what they need to in the exact moment that they, you know, is most important.
Absolutely, Elsa. As yeah, and this Ocean Soul, it will just make Glaive Bingus that much more annoying, particularly the Singed. As you know, he already has healing in his kit as well as that Insanity Potion, so just that much more annoying to deal with and take down as he looks to get in the middle of the Dorado new side and create chaos and fling somebody into his members there, into that bullet time grand entrance quickness combo. Just, it's a really disgusting combo as we get later and later into these team fights here for the side of Glaive Bingus here. But once again, Dorado new, they're still, I would say they're still okay. It's not panic time just yet. But, you know, they will have to hold that thought, though, as the Glacial Prison goes wide. Flash, however, coming out from the Epi Champion here. So this Victor will have to mind his positioning that much more as Dog New are now baiting this Baron here. But Xerneas has popped the Shirelli as Panzora looking for a flip. Flying Squirtle in the middle as the Emperor's Divide comes out. The bullet time as well. Marshall interrupts High Legacy in the backline there. The shutdown is coming out as Mushai was already taken down. King What's-His-Face on the retreat. Espresso as well.
Should be
Glaive
it.
Bingus are on the killing spree. King's What's-His-Face has been flipped. High Legacy will flash over the wall to ensure that this Azir does not take out his champion here. Glaive Bingus now looking to push this tier 2 turret here in the mid lane, and their tempo is now in their favor once again. It's not game just yet, as the death timers are not that long. They won't push for more, but they will look for the Baron as we have a replay.
Yeah, going into this replay of yet another team fight here. And this just seems to sort of be the pattern, is if the Shurima Shuffle comes out prior to the ultimate from Misfortune, things do not go well for you if you're Dorado new. We see that again in that fight. Marshall trying to do his best to be disruptive on the backline, but at the end of the day, doesn't have the damage to actually kill the backline, which just means that it's just kind of sort of delaying the inevitable. And Muchai going down early in the fight, you know, that's kind of the other key here, is how long can this Sivir survive? How many auto attacks can she actually get off before she ends up going down? Because, you know, again, with that ricochet, once that starts to come through, it just does so much damage.
Xernean may have gone a bit too forward, and that is a unfortunate pick that you do not want to see out coming from the side of Glaive Bingus here. That now gives Dorado tempo. As you see them posturing here in the mid lane, they're going to look for this mid lane inhibitor here. Can Glaive Bingus defend it with their remaining members while they wait for Xernean to come back onto the rift?
That's a huge pick, because Xernean is such a huge part of their engage here, which is really big against these backline carries. It's long death timers. I guess only 20 seconds left. Definitely the inhibitor going to go down.
Dorado are looking for the end, though. They want to force game 5 so bad. Their minions are not here just yet. Are they going to try and look? Okay, they're not. Okay, I thought they were. I wanted them to a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, really, I mean, you know, because of the fact that the inhibitor was already, you know, had already been broken open before, like, yes, it is nice for Dorado to pick it up and get the super minions flowing again, but really not that big of a punishment in the end for Xernean going down, which, you know, as I said, I thought, you know, was a really big deal for this Glaive team comp's ability to win fights. But looking at these objective timers, 1 minute until the Elder Dragon, and Riot made that objective for a reason, and it is to end the game.
Here we go. Panzora and finding Espresso. Name a more iconic combo, as Espresso is punished once again, and he will not spawn. He will be spawning right after the Elder Drake has spawned, actually. So now Dorado have to play amazing defense and stall while they wait for their jungler to return, as this Elder Drake will be spawning in the next 30 seconds here.
Really costly pick there. You know, you gotta know when to die. Xernean at least giving her team enough time before the objectives spawn again, but Espresso has had a really tough game on this Trundle.
Xernean flashes forward, the Emperor's Divide is out, and the bullet time has not been used just yet. Watch High Legacy, there it is, as it's tearing through Marshall. Panzora in the back line, throwing King What's-His-Face into his team. Marshall is going to go down. King What's-His-Face was looking to take out Panzora, but he will just retreat instead. Panzora gets out scot-free. Glaive Bingus are going to take this Elder Drake.
King What's-Its-Face trying to run for the base or something? No, he's gonna go back.
No, he's just looking to back safely.
Okay. I was
Is
gonna
he
say
going to
there's
push
no,
top?
there's
Look at
still
him on the
an
minimap.
or a
He's going
Nexus.
top. Yeah, King What's-His-Face going to push top lane because they know that they cannot contest for this Elder Drake here. They're just going to look for some more, just look to push these minions a bit further into the lane to delay the Glaive Bingus push a little bit longer and recall. But man, this game is slipping away from Dorado new with each passing second here, Elsa.
It does feel like it's slipping away for sure, and now especially like we mentioned with this Elder Drake makes it so much easier in the team fights with the execute. Never say never, you know, especially in these late game fights when one pick at the beginning of the fight can really start to, you know, kind of snowball everything else. But theoretically, Glaive should be able to take this in the last team fight. They have the Ocean Soul, they have the Elder buff. if they can't win it now, I don't know when they can.
Yeah, and you know Glaive Bingus are definitely going to be looking for a fight with this uber killer buff they have attached to their champions right now. Panzor currently knocking on the tier 2 turret in the top lane. The rest of Glaive Bingus will rotate there, excuse me, to assist their top laner, or at least cover for him while he works on this turret here. We see some pings coming out from the mid lane, but it looks like they're just gonna 5-man stack in this top lane here. Panzora posturing for it, as well as Xernean with the flying Squirtle combo as well. So those 3 members are all the go buttons for Glaive Bingus here. If you see one of them go in, expect the next one to follow behind shortly. And currently Shurelia's has been procced here, but no engage just yet. They will get the top lane inhibitor here. Panzora posturing forward, Xernean posturing forward. Nexus turrets are being poked down. Flying Squirtle will retreat just a bit. Oh
Eventually.
my god. Elsa, this is interesting. This is tough. But keep your eye on the mid lane, and there are super minions also pathing towards Glaive Bingus's mid lane Nexus turrets here as well. Will they retreat to clear that out for a bit, or will they look for the bot lane tier 3 turret next? The answer is they're going to split their forces, clear out the red jungle, and they will send High Legacy and Panzora to take care of these supers real quick. Everyone's resetting. Is Elder, how much time they got left on Elder? Is it almost
That long.
Let me see. Yeah, okay, yeah, Elder actually just expired, so
Yep.
yeah,
I
bare
don't
buff.
know. I feel like that was a mistake from Glaive Bingus. I feel like they really would have liked to force, some kind of fight just with that Elder Dragon and the, Ocean Soul. I would think that they would feel confident to be able to, at least force a pick, and again, just sort of, snowball things from there. But on the other hand, obviously, if you do commit to a fight and you don't end up winning it, you throw the entire game and
Zora, Housebound, Blobby, Marshall, but whoa, the Emperor's Divide does nothing but bullet time does instead. Espresso flashes forward onto High Legacy, trying to punish this MF, but nothing's coming of it. King's What's-His-Face was just autoing. I don't know what he was autoing, but that looks like it's gonna be game here for the side of Glaive Bingus. They went Dorado knew off the rift. That is an ace for Glaive Bingus, and Glaive Bingus will take down Dorado New in 4 games, correction. What a playoff series that we have just experienced here. Dorado New, they were deemed by most as the little brother org of the Dorado trio we have in our league here, but they did not go down without the fight. Glaive Bingus win the series 3-1.
And Glaive Bingus, like you said, Redacted, they are expected to win here today, and they do so. Could have been a little bit cleaner, but honestly, I think that it was less about mistakes being made by Glaive Bingus and more about, I think, a really good series overall being played by Dorado Gaming New. Definitely, you could tell the shot calling was a big part of it. They moved around the map intelligently as a team, especially into the late game in that, 4th and final game. But at the end of the day, just wasn't quite enough. Panzora definitely leading the charge there in that last game. But also, shout out to the Epic Champion who really struggled early on in the lane phase on Victor, getting caught out multiple times, ending up with 15 kills at the end of it all. So, new beginnings, something worth celebrating, being able to overcome that early game.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I just want to once again congratulate Glaive Bingus on their win, and congratulate myself as well for my bracket currently being correct, at least in the upper bracket. My lower bracket's kind of screwed though, but that's fine. It's for the content. But we are setting up an interview here with one of the Glaive Bingus' members. We will have that ready for you shortly, so don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Welcome back, everyone, and we are here live with an interview from the jungler of Glaive Bingus, Flying Squirtle himself. Flying Squirtle, congrats on the win against Dorado. New. How do you feel after that 4-game slugfest?
I was good. I was getting a little stressed at the end of that game. It was some messy team fights, I think, at the end. But in the end, we got the dub. I'm happy. Boys are happy.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I'm sure you all are happy. Of course, one, it's always a good day when a team gets to beat the Dorado org, right? Because as we know in our community, they are very vocal about their status as an org. So I'm sure that feels good as well to just take down one of the orgs down a peg a bit here. But let's get into all the different games here. Let's go back all the way to game one, which,
Game one.
wow, was like 4 hours ago now.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Yeah, so well, before we get started on game one, what was the team's thoughts going into this matchup here? How did you all prep and prepare for this matchup?
Exernian does a lot of scout work
Yep.
for bans and picks, and we mainly just follow whatever she wants to go with. Obviously, there's some flexibility, like champ pools. Like in the first game, I think our draft was pretty good. We flexed like the Mordekaiser, the Wukong, and the Mumu, so we had like a lot of diversity going into the game.
But yeah, we thought your game one draft was really sus at first because it was like three melees on the top side. Remember that? Also, we were just like, what the hell?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I guess to speak more to sort of the flexibility, not only in that fourth game, but also in the first game as well. You ended up getting, flexing the Mumu to the jungle. And obviously Mumu jungle, not like some crazy thing, but it's not something we see quite as much recently. And it can be a little bit weaker, especially early in the game. I'm curious if like with the Mumu, if you think the strength comes from the flexing kind of potential, or if you do think it's kind of a higher tier jungler in the meta.
Yeah, we locked it in early, and like the other team obviously
One.
thought it was support. Even I thought it was going support. I didn't realize I was playing Mumu today.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
She's just like, "You cool with Mumu jungle?" I'm like, yeah, we can play it here. She wanted
Wait,
to
so you didn't know you were gonna play a Mumu jungle until
I,
like
I'm always down to play it, but
I mean, anybody can. I mean, if you played
yeah,
it once, you played it a million times, right? It's not like you can't pick it right up. So
yeah, but it's I don't know. It baited them into banning more junglers, which left like more
true.
top champions up. Like we just locked in two more top laners, and we won the game because of it. I swear.
okay, look at y'all with the mind games here. So keep that in mind, ID Eclipse, and any other teams that may face Glaive Bingus in the playoffs here. But yeah, let's go into game two here. Unless Elsie, you have anything else you want to talk about game one?
No,
Because
that's it.
there
Yeah.
are three other games we gotta cover. Let's see. Game two. Game two was actually I think that was the one that was a stomp, right? It was pretty quick, if I recall.
I don't know
Also,
if it was a stomp, but it definitely the Sivir got really strong at the end of that one. I think
the Jinx.
maybe
The
that was the
Jinx.
first one. Jinx, I meant Jinx.
Yeah, the Jinx and the Xerath there. The Xerath was actually a very interesting pick. Why did you all pick the Xerath there in that composition for game two?
We they picked a lot of like range champions, and we didn't
Mhm.
really want to dive into that.
Yeah,
So we locked Xin Zhao, and obviously I can just like alt and smack like Renekton, and I'm fine.
yeah.
And we were just looking to poke them out and kite back, and he said he wanted the Azir, or the Xerath, so we locked that in, and it was really good, I think, in the fights.
No, it absolutely was. You were chunking them out so much. I mean, practically no one on that team had any MR. So yeah, you all played that composition really well because you poked them out prior to the starting the neutral objectives, and then you forced them into thinking like, all right, do we still want to contest this, or should we just go home and recall? And sometimes they picked the wrong decision, and then they were punished. So yeah, that was great. But you are the jungler. Let's talk a bit about you as the jungler for Glaive Bingus here. Panzora obviously is your top laner, and how did that matchup feel for you into Espresso when Espresso was giving Panzora a lot of attention with Marshall there in the first two games. Did you feel like you needed to also match that, or how were the comms in with that whole situation in the first two games at least?
The first two games,
Yeah.
I've played with Panzer a lot, so I think even if he gets camped, like he's able to neutralize it. Even if his lane opponent's like ahead, he can
Mhm.
typically still be more useful in the later end of the game, just because of like I think he's a really good player.
Yeah.
But I pretty
So that gives you a lot more agency to go elsewhere, right? And
yeah, I can go elsewhere, put him ahead, and you'll snowball the game. Like a lot of options.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I guess so looking forward here, you remain in the upper bracket. And I'm not sure, I don't think, I mean, Redacted, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not sure if we know
it's ID
who.
Eclipse.
Oh, it's ID Eclipse. Okay, ID
Yeah.
Eclipse coming next. So y'all did not go against them, right? I don't think y'all
I
did.
I have
No,
no
no,
clue.
the ID Eclipse is in Group D.
Yeah,
They're
that's what
the
I thought.
group D first seed. Glaive Bingus is Group C second seed.
Yeah, so going, continuing in this upper bracket, moving forward, I guess how confident are you feeling after this match? Like, does this make you feel more or less confident? Obviously, you were favored, or not, maybe not. Obviously, you were favored. I feel like generally speaking in this matchup, and it was a 3-1, but kind of close. How are you feeling going into the next match?
But boys are hype. I'm hyped for the next game. We're gonna see what we can do. I think we'll probably win it.
Oh, yeah. So I'm glad you said that. So can we
Dinging
expect
endorsement,
can we get some?
probably.
Are we gonna get some banter out of the Bingusers? Because y'all are one of the orgs that we don't see too much banter out of.
Oh,
And we know ID Eclipse, especially Bubster and Wardbox, they definitely like to banter. So, you know.
I personally don't know any of the dog shit teams in the league. I don't know anybody here. We're here. We're just surfing on the competition. Like we don't care about anybody. We're gonna take them all down first place, easy dubs.
There you go, Redacted. You got it. Ding, ding, ding. Perfect.
Expect some pings from a lot of people in the server either tonight or coming up during the week here. Let's cover the last two games before we send you on your way here. Especially your loss, right? The loss against Dorado New in game 3. They got the Seraphine. They got a very I don't even know what you want to call it. A very aggressive and just dive forward composition with the Seraphine, Olaf, Azir, Amumu set pick there. How did you all feel during that game? When they had about an 8K gold lead. Were comms was it a bit stressful, or did you all just kind of know that all right, we probably aren't going to win this game after a certain point? Let's just look forward to the next one.
At a certain point, like yeah, everyone thought it was like kind of a loss, but I think most games are still winnable if you're behind. Olaf snowballed a bit early, so it's kind of hard to contest a lot of the early stuff.
Yeah.
And we just tried to farm into the late game, but we didn't get to it. So
And why did
kind
Diana
of
pick?
Diana pick. My pool, the champions I wanted were kind of banned, and I kind of just like I stressed out and just picked something random. I think the pick was early dog there. I think I
Mhm.
picked more like Gwen maybe, or maybe I don't know. I think the pick was really bad. I think I should have went something else. Not sure what, but
Okay. Elsa, any questions about game 3? I mean, this was their only loss, so.
I mean, I no, I mean, honestly, not really in particular. I feel like I don't know. I don't have any particular questions.
All right.
All right.
Moving on. No, you're fine. I just wanted to make sure before I
I'm
moved
too
on.
busy reading the Twitch chat and seeing Exernian lie about the captain status.
Okay. Well, moving on to game 4. Before I actually ask you about game 4, I do want to ask about a certain combo we have seen in the meta quite recently, and we have seen a lot of other teams play, but you all have not chosen to play it at all. The Zeri Yumi combo, like, what's up with that?
Yumi.
Yeah.
I think most of the teams we've played against haven't really put high priority on it. So since
I mean, like, why
we,
haven't you all even played it more
I
so?
I think uh taking away from like the opponent has greater value than just grabbing something that like we just want to play. Like if Sivir's in high contention in the game, like we'd rather just take that than grab Zeri. Like obviously we can just play Zeri and scale, but
Well,
like if the other team doesn't play it, like I think it has less value overall.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and I just wanted to get your thoughts and insight on that combo that we've seen quite vigorously across the rift here. But
Never
game
escape
4.
a broadcast without Zeri Yumi these days. It's impossible. We just need to torture you, Daydream. That's why we need to talk about it. That's why. Because
Oh, is
why
Daydream
not?
BMing? Is Daydream BMing in Twitch chat?
Yeah. Well, what's new? What do you think?
Anyway, moving on to game 4, so that way we can let Flying Squirtle go get some rest here, and us as well. So uh, let's see. Yeah, you all picked, of course, the Exernian special, the Rakan there, which some thought was BM and a bad idea, given that there was so much CC in on news side. So my question is, did you know at a certain point that the Amumu wasn't going to be support and that Exernian was going to play the Rakan, or was it something that you pivoted to after the first 3 picks?
The Amumu was a flex, but at that point I knew it was. So at the end, we just let Xernean pick whatever we wanted. We were looking
Okay.
to grab on R4. We were looking to grab Ornn, so we banned the Mordekaiser, but they
Mhm.
banned the Ornn. The plan was, since they didn't pick support, we lock in Ornn and then give counter pick to support. But since they got rid of the Ornn, we just gave the support pick and counter the Panzora. And I don't know, she was just feeling whatever she wanted to do. She said we go Rakan here. He locked Leona, and she said, "Do we win these? Like Geo plays, it doesn't matter."
Yeah, and I quote, I always ego Rakan, don't care, L plus ratio
That's
plus
ratio,
I'm
yeah.
gonna int anyways. So just wanted
Yes,
to read
sir.
that out loud.
Flying Squirtle, do you feel like Espresso challenged you at all in the jungle matchup during this series?
Oh, I think I didn't really care what he picked.
Mm-hmm.
Like in most of these games, like the jungler wasn't the issue. I know the Olaf game, like he snowballed and got ahead, but I think if anybody got that many kills, they would probably be carrying the game. So not really. I think it was pretty chill in the jungle. I locked in like arguably like a really bad jungler who could be invaded and heavily pressured, a Mumu,
Mm-hmm.
and
Right.
they didn't really get anything off of me early. Like most of the games as a Mumu, I was ahead in camps.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
said it was an
Yeah.
elo flex or an ego flex in the first one, not to insult you, but just as far as like it should be punished, but it was not. So
Yeah, I can agree.
good work, I guess, and or like bad work by them, I guess. But
All right. Well, Elsa, do you have any other questions? I got one more, and then I'm gonna let go ahead and end this thing. But I'm gonna.
take us out. I just
All
got
right.
snide comments.
Okay. Flying Squirtle, my last question for you is actually not really a question. It's more of a opportunity for you to once again, give your thoughts to the community. Any last words you want to say to any of the other junglers out there who think they are better than you, and anyone else that may doubt your team, Glaive Bingus.
Adoring
So
fans.
Oh,
yeah, or love to your fans.
other teams, watch your back. We're coming for your ass. No cap. The homies at home. My boy Smay. Shout out to Smay. My friend's birthday ended 16 minutes ago. We were looking to play flex, but I had a match, so we couldn't play. So I'm sorry. Hopefully, we're gonna play some games after this. But yeah, that's it.
Alrighty, thank you so much, Flying Squirtle, and congrats on the win once again, and congrats on not messing up my bracket. I really appreciate it. At least
Nope,
the
no
upper bracket so
problem. No
far.
problem.
With that being said, we are going to turn it down for the night. Elsa, thank you so much for joining me on this cast. MB, our producer, thank you so much for filling in and advertising some of that future CCS merch that you know we did not know was a thing until today. And thank you all to the viewers at home for I hope you enjoyed this wonderful series. We do have more CCS tomorrow. It is our Diamond Grand Finals. WLS chaz it up against Dorado Gaming Zeta. Same time, same place. You don't want to miss it. Make sure you tune in. But in the meantime, stay safe, stay dangerous, and have fun. See you next time.